What's good, chat? It's Wednesday. Dawn is late, limp, as usual. So it's just me starting off the show this week. I've got an incredible panel, special guests. The chat is already blowing up. Good to see all of you. Let me bring in these very fine people from both sides. We have first the Lady Vex Electronica, who's everywhere all the time and killing it.
Thank
Scissor?
you. Thank you.
Scissor?
Yes. Aggressive scissoring.
Aggressive scissoring. Never take no for an answer with the scissors.
No.
We've got the and from the other side, well, you know what? It's gonna be an interesting show, I think, today about who likes what, because we have a lot to talk about. Vex and I have just experienced Avatar 2 for the first times ish. So we'll talk about that. Lofty.
Well, hello there.
You blue alien.
Oh, speaking of blue alien, let me go change my costume. I'll be right back. You can bring.
Oh my God, his little avatar actually walked off the screen. That was quite adorable.
It's pretty cool.
I can do all kinds. I can do all kinds of stuff. What else do you want me to do, Vex? Huh?
Can you?
Hi everybody. What's up?
Perfect.
How's it going? Navi in the house. What's up, Navi boys? Navi bros in the chat. What's up?
You've got the hair too. The whole, and it moves. There's physics. You have hair physics.
Zalti, I see you. Zalti, I see you.
I love it. Let me bring in our very special guest. The first time on the show, I am honored and privileged to have on our panel tonight, the little Platoon.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Lofty now has to refer to everyone here as bro all the way through the goddamn stream because you're playing the character. I say playing the character,
bro.
That's a bit rich, but no. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Are there characters in this movie?
Well, some people say that there are. I haven't been able to find any, but I'm told that some people think there are.
Don't talk about my people like that, bro. Don't talk about my people like that, bro. You don't even know what we've been through, okay?
Ooh, you've been through a lot, I can tell. We got in the chat, we got lots of people here already. We got K2J Extreme, Ascension Dildo. Good to see you, Dildo. Didn't see you yesterday anywhere. What's going on? Jacob's here. Hey, Jacob Dempsey. Cannoli. What's up, Cannoli? Thanks for coming. We all just jumped over from Vex's premiere. So if you missed that, make sure to watch that. She takes down Scott Pilgrim. So
it's me versus Scott Pilgrim now.
Yes.
That's the reimagining.
You got it done too. You really did. Yes. I love her videos. I have a sidetracked, but I always say this, but the way she puts it together, she actually crafts it so that her script meets the visuals, and I love that stuff. So
yeah.
Yes. Yo, Kenny, hello. Amelia Bedelia. Thanks for coming, Jay. Shield Wall of Dragons. MC. Dempsey just we did an album premiere for him a couple weeks back on this channel. That was fun. He's a talented musician. Hunty's here. Goober Gray from Japan. Wakazashi Tia, it's good to see you. Mr. Godzilla. He's slaying it with his Godzilla videos over there because he saw -1 2 weeks ago. And
I did too.
Did you?
I did.
Okay.
Good, bad.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, wait. There's two of them. Monarch and -1. I get them confused.
-1's the movie.
I saw Monarch. Yeah. The Japanese one looks great.
He loves it.
Yeah.
So
good.
Yeah. Hopefully Japan can pull off some interesting like ground level human narratives because Hollywood sucks ass at that. But we'll see.
Very true.
Yeah.
So he watched that one. He saw it early in Japan, and he says it's good. But it was in Japanese, and he's been in there for years, so he can understand Japanese mostly. But I think there were some things he said, some character stuff you may have missed. But I think he's seeing it again. Actually, he liked it. So.
Nice.
Sassy is here. Actual Andrew, what the fuck, indeed. Gord.
WTF.
Yeah.
Slake.
I gotta say, like, it was Avatar. There's a lot of people who haven't seen that movie for a movie that made $2.5 billion. So people must have seen it quite a bit. I think grandparents would see that movie. That was probably the move. Wheel your grandparents into that.
To be fair, the international market is massive. So
that's where it made most of its budget, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are just white supremacists. You don't know any like foreign people, so that's why. Yeah, that's how that goes.
Legend. Yes, indeed. Squeaka Mouse. Hello, Squeaka. Good to see you. And Boosh is here. $2 from Subtle Deviancy. Avatar fans have a lot in common with Unix.
Yeah.
You said something similar already, Vex.
I did, yes.
You did, yeah.
I have a lot in common with Unix. I don't even fucking have a fucking bottom half. Yeah, I got nothing going on down there, fellas. I'm sorry. And ladies.
We got to talk about Spider too. I can't wait to talk about that character. What was that?
Oh boy. You know they're eyeing him up for a Link from live action Link, Legend of Zelda.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, he's one of the candidates. Well, one of the rumored candidates, you know.
Better than Machine Gun Kelly. So
better than Machine Gun Kelly and better than the dumbass from Detective Pikachu. He's another one that's rumored. It's
the
like
black kid?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah,
right.
for Link.
Yeah,
I'll take Spider all day.
Yeah, pale
I'll take
blonde. Put the
Spider.
black guy in there. Yep.
Yeah.
John Campy was pushing for that.
Yeah, what a loser.
God, that guy's. You guys can keep him. He's Canadian,
you guys
but
ever
you guys
watch
can keep him.
Collider back in the day and like
No.
not have a problem? I used to, and then they started becoming brain dead. I don't know. Whatever.
Thank you, Yura Barmy, for the $5. Gonna play a quick clip, and so for Little Platoon, we do a show on Saturday nights where we hunt out and we find some very public but cringy videos, and we take a look at them. So this is a clip from one of those, so you know, and you've seen this one already, Vex. So this is our good friend Hunter J.
Long story short, I was born as a breech baby, coming out late, legs first. The doctors weren't brilliant and cut the umbilical cord early, and for lack of better words, the cord wrapped around my neck like a noose, and lack of better words as well, I was sucked back inside my mother.
That's the best Thanksgiving gift ever.
That was intense. That sounds like a DS. It sounds like a Dark Side Phil origin story.
I'm sure there is an old House of the Dead game where the villain does crawl back inside his alien mum's uterus at the end. I'm pretty sure that thing exists.
Beautiful. Zax, you're muted.
Oh no, thank you. That time really was muted. All right. Yeah, so that was part of a hour and 20-minute-ish apology video that was in the middle of it there. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, but we're not talking about 100 tonight. This is
in what sort of apology is that story necessary? What's he apologizing for?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because he was playing a game called RuneScape, whereby he became friends with either a girl or a boy. He's not sure which. Never really said, which is fine.
Yeah, it's very vogue. It's very hip to not know.
And then he found out after a few years together in a relationship in which they never met that this person was 11 when they met. And so that has since come out, and he was apologizing for that relationship.
It happens because I've played RuneScape for 6 minutes, I think, in my entire life, and the only time I went on, someone tried to groom me within 5 minutes. So that's why I didn't last any longer than 6. I always have this terrible luck with MMOs. Star Wars Galaxies did the same thing back when that was a thing. Playing that game, and then people invite you to parties, and then everyone takes their animated clothes off, and you think like, I'm like 12. I don't think I should be here, so I'm going to go. But thanks for all the free stuff you tried to ply me with. That was really good fun. I'm going to fly this starship around the galaxy for the rest of the game.
Yeah, that's why you got to play with a friend. I play with my brothers, Galaxies and RuneScape. I just ignore people, you know. It's weird though.
That's the move. Yeah, I've never played RuneScape, so it could have been him, Platoon, possibly, that was grooming you.
Possibly.
So yeah, we got Paulie looking at Slantis here too. Oldest gamer. Yeah, so that's there is some serious deep Hunter lore. It's not quite Chris Chan level lore, but it's some pretty good stuff, and he's ours. So we've claimed him, and he has some stories, some quotes.
Jeez.
Yeah, subtle deviancy. How the hell do we go from importing Iron Maiden to getting the Little Platoon? That's like being close to Lofty standing under a mistletoe.
What does that even mean?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm confused too.
Yeah,
I love
there
it
are
though.
layers there. I don't get it, but
So many
either
layers.
I really like it or I really don't, depending on what you're going for there.
I like it either way.
Yeah.
That is what she said.
Yeah.
I'll take it. And this is for you, Subtle.
KTVU has just learned the names of the 4 pilots who were on board the flight. They are Captain Sum Ting Wong, Wee Tu Lo, Ho Lee Fook, and Bang Ding Ao.
That sounded a lot like Navi language. Bang ding ow. Bang ding ow. Holy fook. I see you.
So if I missed you in the chat, I apologize, but let's get into talking about Avatar. Your backup is coming. Flossed, he says he's on his way to save you, Lofty.
I don't need no backup. I've done 5v1 debates before. I have no problem at all.
5D1 what?
I took on Chris Gore, Anna, and Shadiversity all at once one time. And it turned out so well for me that I had to go into hiding for 6 months.
Yes, that's yeah. You did. But we stuck with you, Lofty.
I know. You guys are based.
Hey, Roberts, what's going on? Okay, so tell me about Avatar 2 and why. What did you rate it, a 9? What, is that right?
Who? Me?
Yeah.
Nah. It's probably like well, are we just talking about the sequel tonight? I'm just curious.
Let's go deep. We'll go all the way.
They are functionally the same film, so it doesn't make a huge amount of difference.
For me, the Avatar Way of the Water is probably a solid 8 out of 10 for me. If I had to plop a rating down on it. Now, I say that even though I really like the movie a lot, it has problems. Yes. I like to leave room for things to get better. I think it can get I think people do this a lot. They're like, "Oh, I love this thing. It's a 10 out of 10." No, you got to be nuanced, guys. Everything can get better, There's problems with Avatar Way of the Water, and we'll talk about them.
Well, let's talk about what you liked about it. What was for the Avatar movies? What did you like the best? What's your best memory? Because like I saw the first one in the theaters and I don't remember it at all at this point now.
My what I liked about it was the theatrical experience of it. That was one of the things I loved about it. James Cameron, everything about what his involvement in the film, his signature, this is a James Cameron movie. The technology, the scope, the world building, the immersive I want to say storytelling, like sort of the immersive storytelling, even though I had problems with the story. Yeah, those are probably the main core things I liked about it. Yep.
Immersive storytelling in what sense? Like what were you immersed in?
Okay, so for example, it could have been have you seen The Creator?
Not yet.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So that movie is very mid. I don't know if you guys know this. There's a 5-hour version of The Creator that was filmed and they cut it down to 2 hours. They filmed 5 hours. By the way, I don't know how much was that $100 million movie? How do you have 5 hours of The Creator at $100 million? And then somehow Captain Marvel was like 300 million. How does that make sense?
Scissoring costs a lot of money, man.
True.
Yeah, I just think it's pretty crazy. But what I meant by immersive storytelling is they were not afraid to let that movie breathe and like kind of let you get lost in it. It's very long, has a lot of just world building stuff going on. So that's kind of what I meant by that. And The Creator, like I said, is just, it could have been sort of like this. It had some parallels to Avatar. But it was rushed, cut down, way too chopped down. It was ridiculously unfocused. But anyway, yeah.
I don't want to break the format. Can I ask a quick question? When you say world building, what do you mean?
I'm talking about the tribes, peoples, okay? The various tribes, the wildlife, the environments, the ocean, the communications between the animals and the Navi, the all basically anything that like you could say anything that makes the world, that makes the experience more immersive is pretty much what I'm talking about. Yeah.
So is world building things you see on screen?
Yeah. So
Or
when
is
I
world
say
building like the story of the world and the way in which all the constituent elements of that world link together and what you can infer from that experience?
Yeah, it's more aesthetic, visual, environmental, the soundtrack kind of helps with that, kind of, it's not, you could make a distinction between like aesthetic world building and storytelling, like world building with like mythologies and things. I'm talking about the aesthetics mostly, basically.
So the effects is world building to you.
Yeah, yes. And the environments and all that stuff. Basically anything visual, immersive, things like that. Like I said, the tribes, the traveling from their village to the water village to the coastal village, sort of like this kind of there's this montage, right, where they fly there, and it's beautiful montage. All of that stuff is what I'm talking about for world building. It's kind of like if you played Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. You sort of kind of get lost in that world. It's amazing. The aesthetics and environments in that game are actually unreal. And that's a very important part for me. I know some people don't care about some of that stuff, and that's why this movie is very polarizing, by the way. That's just how it is. It's very much dependent on what kind of entertainment you value and appreciate, I think.
Avatar's meta world stealing. The plot is only borrowed to subvert the invaders trying to literally steal a world. Okay. So there's Platoon. There's no like format. We're very informal. So let's just, if you want to, whenever you want to beat up Lofty.
No. Platoon has to give his positives. Is that what you asked? Yeah. What did you like about the movie?
What do I like about the movie?
Yeah.
The video I did on it made me quite a lot of money. That was nice.
Bro, I was just watching that today. I got you some more money.
It is pretty. It's a very pretty film, undeniably so. What goes on behind the scenes in terms of the technology that's being developed and the way in which that will potentially drive forward visual effects in cinema going forward, I think is creditable.
Yeah.
And there must be something else. I can't really think of anything else. That's kind of it. I think so. There's this. Where do we even begin with Avatar? So like there is a difference in my mind when it comes to analyzing any kind of film between craft and between technique, which is something I've pinched from a poet, funnily enough. Avatar is a craft film. So Avatar is all about stuff you can learn from other people. Avatar is, I've seen this in a film before and it worked, so I'm going to pinch it. Avatar is, this is technology which is going to extrapolate from human psychology, and it's going to pinpoint what makes us attracted, visually, physically stimulated by the people we see on the screen. And we're going to combine all the best elements to get the most beautiful looking character, because that is a sidetrack way to get people to actually give a shit about what's going on screen. It's a substitute for writing character, is you basically manipulate the audience, which is what James Cameron did. James Cameron brought in a whole team of people to actually exploit everything you could like think of in terms of trying to make the Na'vi the most visually appealing characters, I say characters, possible. That's a craft thing, and it's not, irredeemable by any means. It's quite a useful thing, certainly in terms of understanding how you can apply those things to technology and movie making. But when it comes to technique is when you actually impart meaning into something. So to use like the poetry analogy, craft, you can read somebody else's poem and you can identify the ballad meter, for example, and then you can mimic their style. You've identified the craft and you've managed to put that on the page, fine. But you can't write what they've written. You can't actually write the poem that poet has created, because you have no technique. Because technique is your worldview. Technique is the meaning you're trying to impart. It's the artistic vision more than just a technical vision.
Sounds a lot like an anti-AI defense there going on.
I don't know if it's an anti-AI. Well, no, I mean, it kind of is in the sense that AI can't ever have technique, but AI can be very good at craft. Like Avatar, The Way of Water in particular, is what I would imagine an AI created film to look like. It's completely devoid of actual meaning. It has no actual characters, and the story is just what you've seen before in Dances with Wolves and Pocahontas. But they've managed to put it on the screen, and they've combined a lot of different visual elements to make it seem like it's something brand new when it really isn't, because it's qualitatively an empty film. And that's sort of my big problem with it, is that if this is where cinema is going, if this thing is what's making billions of dollars, and all it is the artistic equivalent of the feelies in Brave New World, it feels nice, it looks nice, and that's enough for us. And that's where we're going to go going forward, because it's made so much money. I think that's really quite depressing. And I would much rather see a smaller budget film like The Creator, which I had not seen, but from what I understand, it does try to play with story in terms of the implementation of AI. I would rather see a failed attempt at that than a ludicrously successful Avatar film, because Avatar is such a void of a film.
That's interesting. That is interesting. I don't think, maybe I'm misunderstanding what you mean. I don't think this movie is going to inspire a bunch of cheap, lazy, shitty storytelling with pretty visual effects any more than any of the superhero movies that ever came out. I think, if anything, if you're worried about the future of cinema, I think, if anything, this movie is going to inspire filmmakers to embrace technology in various ways. I don't think, I mean, you could do this with a totally different script, and actually, you know, you could do this with an amazing script, and it's still going to be inspirational for artists that are trying to tell innovative stories. I don't think the box office has anything to do with the storytelling in this movie. I really don't.
And that's what about Avatar's story? A, exists, and B, is innovative.
It's not innovative. It's not. That's one of my. Now, you did actually. I watched your video today. Parts of it. You did this thing called, bad arguments segment in the beginning of your video, like arguments that you don't like, defenses. I'm sorry, Avatar defenses that you think are weak, sort of. And I did one also, just spontaneously before this. I just kind of wrote it up. I have some issues with some of the generic sort of NPC responses that people have to this movie, and I think one of them is the Dances with Wolves in space, sort of what you were hinting at, is this innovative storytelling. And it's kind of like, we could talk about it. I mean, we're definitely going to have to talk about it. But guess what? Dances with Wolves is Pocahontas. The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise is Dances with Wolves with Samurai. Dune is Dances with Wolves in the Desert. Princess Mononoke is Dances with Wolves Weeb edition. I
was with you up until the last three examples.
Well, Mononoke was much, much more nuanced and innovative than any of those. I'm just giving examples. So the point I'm trying to make is The Last Samurai a objectively terrible movie simply because it's derivative of Dances with Wolves? No, I don't think so. I don't think that's a valid criticism of the movie. Now, you're gonna have, if you want to say the story is terrible, you're gonna have to go beyond. This is just Dances with Wolves in space, because I can just point to The Last Samurai or Fern Gully or anything else and just say, well, what about this? They're all Pocahontas derivatives. That's my number one problem. Whenever I hear people complaining about it, it's really the main thing. Everyone's like, oh, why is this movie bad? Oh, it's Dances with Wolves in space. Okay, and and why is the story bad?
Yeah,
so that's we have to get past this. We really do, because
there are plenty of instances of the story being bad in its own right.
Welcome, movie center.
That's fine. That's my point. It's not productive to say
can you hear me
that it's a derivative story.
Yep.
It's just not.
I think it is productive to say it's a derivative story if that is exactly what it is. So to take some of the examples from earlier on. So the video I did, they're laying out the difference between innovation, invention, and derivation. And the two we're principally concerned with in this one is it innovative, i.e. is it taking old established things and repackaging them with new inspirations, excuse me, the cold's kicking in, with new inspirations and new factors to create something which is qualitatively its own thing? Or is it simply derivative in that it is just almost a cut and paste exactly of that story into a new paint job, as we're now seeing on the screen in front of us? Now, when it comes to Pocahontas and Dances with Wolves, for example, now I'm not actually saying that Dances with Wolves is a superb film, but there's more innovation going on with Dances with Wolves as a derivative of Pocahontas than there is from Avatar and Dances with Wolves, I would argue. There are more shared plot similarities between Dances with Wolves and Avatar than there are between Pocahontas and Dances with Wolves. Now, that's an argument that it is more derivative than innovative. I agree with you that there is more to talk about than that, but I don't think you can hand wave it away as not being a point, because it is a point. In the same way that when Star Wars comes out, and if all of a sudden you find another film that comes out which has people with laser swords and they can use magic powers to destroy an evil big space station, that is more derivative of Star Wars than Star Wars is of any given Kurosawa film, even though Kurosawa influences Star Wars.
Sure, I see what you're saying. Would you say that, have you seen Yojimbo and Sanjuro, and have you seen the Clint Eastwood remakes?
I've not seen the Eastwood remakes, no.
Okay, so like Fistful of Dollars, like basically what I'm asking is aesthetic and era and time period and, you know, samurai morphing into a cowboy, is that simply by in and of itself enough to break the derivative like problem? Or does it really have to tell, you know what I mean? Because basically what I'm trying to say is, like, this movie has aliens, it's science fiction. There's so many things superficially that are different than Dances with Wolves or Pocahontas, and it also has people plugging into the nature of the planet. It has mining for resources, and that stuff's not necessarily, I guess. It's not really in
the exploitation of a new world, which entails the exploitation of its resources, is absolutely in Dances with Wolves.
Okay, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I didn't remember. Like, were they doing like oil drilling and things like that, or resource? Like, I guess that's fair. That's fair. What I'm saying is, like, there is, like I said, this is a science fiction movie, so like, I would understand what you're saying even a little bit more if this movie was just Dances with Wolves 2.0 with Indians and like colonizers. But I don't know. Is there anything?
Well, there are blue Indians and colonizers, so I guess it's a new paint job in the same way that world building is aesthetics, apparently. But really, to pursue this point, what I was getting at is that, having said earlier that you believe that Avatar one of the good things about Avatar is it will inspire new filmmakers to do innovative things with story, then it does very much depend on what Avatar is doing, which could in any conceivable way inspire people to tell a story, given that Avatar couldn't find it in itself to tell a new one. So, like, innovation must therefore be coming from a very derivative plot, which is not impossible. I just don't think it's particularly likely.
Right. I do agree the story is extremely derivative and it's probably its weakest. Like, the worst thing about the movie is that it's he had an opportunity to tell some sort of new interesting narrative and he didn't want to. And I think this is not me defending the movie, it's just, what James Cameron intended to do is he tried to appeal to the largest possible global audience possible. And that is like, that sort of inherently delineates the story down to like its most like, copy and pasted sort of like, what is everybody like? What is like the most popular things? It makes sense to me why he did it. And I understand why you don't like it. So I'm not really disagreeing with you about that.
And Nick, where are you at on this with Avatar 2 or the Avatar 1, the entire story?
Yeah. Wait, who?
Cynic.
Wait, say that again? Oh,
Cynic.
Hi, Cynic. I didn't even see you. What's up, buddy?
What's up? Is my mic actually clear, or is it like
you make as much sense as you normally do, so I'm sure
it's great.
You sound good.
Perfect.
Sound like Xbox gamer chat headset. I love it.
Say the N-word. Say
saying bad
it.
words.
Do it. Do
Modern
it.
Warfare lobby.
No,
China
you
number-
can get
China
banned
number
in the
one.
COD lobby for that now. You can't say that in a gamer lobby
PUBG?
anymore.
Do you guys ever play PUBG? Remember everybody was screaming China number 1 for like a year straight? It was so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Anyway, go ahead.
No, I didn't like Avatar 2 at all. No, I didn't like Avatar Part 1. And Avatar 2 is just Part 1 all over again. So no, I didn't like that movie. Yeah, I'm with you, Platoon. The only thing I liked about it was how much money it made me. That's about it.
Well, I mean, that's the secondary point in terms of, whether or not we're looking at a derivative story, is that it's telling the same story as Avatar 1, almost beat for beat.
Which
All
was
it
telling
does,
the story of...
which was that in turn was telling the story of The Last Samurai, etc. But the fact that the Avatar 2 is, with the exception of the middle third is when they decide they're going to throw in, for some reason, Californian teenage subplot, when the kid gets told off once by his dad and decides that his only real family is a whale. And so he runs off to make the rest of the plot happen. And all of that takes about an hour, and it's cringe and it's awful and it's really slow and it doesn't really add anything to the world. But the rest of it, what have you got in terms of comparisons between Avatar 1 and Avatar 2? You have a guy who has to leave his home to go to an unfamiliar surrounding to learn the ways of natives. That's Avatar 1. It's also Avatar 2 because he has to leave his home to run away from the military who are now after him, even though he's abandoned his surrogate son who can lead the military to the people he's trying to save by abandoning them. So that doesn't really make any sense either. But he has to go there. He has to learn all of their ways. At the same time as you have a villain who's new to the planet, who's also learning the ways in his own way. That's, again, Avatar 1 and Avatar 2. There's the big fight at the end with the big machinery, and there's the knife being pulled, and there's the stalemate, and then the fight resolves. And all we've done at the end is just replicate the ending of the first film again. I'm going to stay here as one of the new natives and fight the evil power. And that is Avatar 1 and Avatar 2. So I would be up for sort of siding with Lofty in terms of Avatar 1 isn't as derivative as some people will say, though I think it is quite derivative. But Avatar 2 is derivative of Avatar 1 entirely, with the exception of the little brother, whose name I don't know. So, yeah, I think it's a better argument in defense of Avatar 1 than 2, I think he was making.
The little brother that you don't know in the review you did that was like 3.5 hours long. You must have spent like 20, 30 hours with that movie. You don't remember. It says a lot about the movie.
At the end of your video, Platoon, when you talked about what people defend this movie using, which is the fact that the dad isn't an absolute deadbeat, which is the most you can say for him as a father, because like you said, that it's a very low bar to give this movie a pass. And in fact, to me, he was not a great father. Like, this was a child in peril machine. This whole movie was his kids in trouble constantly, having to be rescued, having to be saved, falling into pits. And he had no influence over them really at all. He was upset that they were being hurt or killed. Sure. Doesn't make him a great dad. He just, he liked his kids. And that's kind of enough for people, it seemed like, with this. And I heard that so many times that when I saw this finally, I was expecting more of the dad stuff. And maybe I was oversold that part of it, but man, and you hit it at the end of your video talking about that. Like, really, that aspect was there. Like, he is not Homer Simpson dad. But he's not, I don't know. He's not a big hero dad for me. And a lot of the stuff they did was so contrived to get the kids into trouble that would never listen to him if he would offer them any advice. And it was that just propelled the movie because his kids didn't listen. That's not good dadding to me.
I agree that the family values thing that people were sort of championing when they were like defending the movie, it's like it's a little corny. Like, it's not my go-to defense of Avatar 2. I would say though that like I'm not gonna lie, I did enjoy I enjoyed the family dynamics. It's not the worst I've ever seen. Like, it's very safe. It's very predictable. In terms of, like, what I liked about it was the other tribe and their culture clash a little bit. I thought that was interesting. And I thought, like, another problem was like one of my biggest pet peeves ever in movies is bullying, excessive bullying. And this is not the only movie that does it, but like, holy fuck. It's pretty kind of cringe when you have like kids trying to bully another guy and then they try to kill him.
Yeah.
It's like excessive.
They're evil.
You know, but like like I said, I don't. Maybe I should actually clarify what I meant by earlier when I gave my rating. When I say it's an 8 out of 10, I'm not really rating. Okay, so if I had to, like, you know how people love the movie like The Room with Tommy Wiseau?
Yeah.
Okay. I would give that movie like a 0 out of 10. But for like entertainment value and stuff and like, you know, stuff like that, it's hard to, like, you know, what I really love watching it. Like, what am I gonna? So in all honesty, this movie's story is probably like a 5. It's a very mid, maybe at best. But I've seen it 3 times and I plan on watching it many times. So it's like, what am I gonna, like, how do I evaluate my own like appreciation of the movie? I said in the beginning, I mostly watch this movie because of the entertainment spectacle of the film. So I'm not going to disagree. We could talk about all the story stuff, but we probably should, because I think it's not as bad. It's not like the worst thing. Some people are like, it's the worst movie ever made. It doesn't make sense why it made money. It's not that bad. It's just, to me, it's sort of mid. That's all. It's sort of safe and boring, you know, in terms of the story. But anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. Like, maybe
I don't think like a lot of people would, or I would hope not anyway. A lot of people wouldn't argue that like this movie made a lot of money because of its story. I think it's clearly because of the visual spectacle.
Exactly.
But like for me though, the rating I would give it, because I hate giving ratings, but whenever we do these reviews over the past few months, like I give it like my objective rating and then what I felt about it personally.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see where you're coming from with that. But for me, like the ratings align for this movie because like I think I've crossed the threshold with special effects where like Avatar 2 wasn't so mind-blowing anymore as compared to like Avatar 1 was in 2009. Like it wasn't that big of a leap to me. So I wasn't blown away by anything visually. So it had 0 selling points for me, really. Yeah. I didn't see what the big fucking deal was anymore, I guess. Like it was just like I can appreciate it, but I like it also I have to admit it's not entertaining. So
see, that is that's crazy. Okay. That's difficult to that's your opinion, right? Like that's a valid opinion. I know what you're saying about Avatar 1 being like way more advanced technology. I understand that. I do think Avatar 2 made significant advancements in technology, but I just disagree. I think it's the most visually stunning, immersive movie of all time. And like I've talked about this a million times. Like this is probably the most epic in terms of technology on screen spectacle. It's probably the most epic movie ever made. I mean, you could go back to some of the David Lean films, you know, but that's not, we're talking about technology CGI, but it's to me, it's like, it's so obvious. I mean, the stuff that comes close, if you really want to talk about like, what are we comparing this to? I would say the Planet of the Apes trilogy comes close. I would say, oh boy, not a lot, honestly.
Yeah, but the Apes trilogy actually had like good story, I feel like.
Right. Well, yeah, I want to talk about that too.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite trilogies ever, and it's I think Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is probably one of the best sequels of all time. It's one of my favorite blockbuster movies. It's really amazing. It's got some problems.
Can I do a closer analogy and ask what your take on the Star Wars prequels is?
I don't like them.
Why don't you like them? Because they drove forward visual effects like no other film before them.
Yes. To be honest, to be honest, when I rewatched them when I was not a kid, so I don't really count my opinions when I was a child. When I rewatched them, I thought that CGI was like lacking, and I thought it was kind of cringe, especially the Clone Wars. Return of the Jedi.
That's certainly true. But I mean, so that's not quite the argument that I'm trying to hold you to here. So the argument here is that Avatar, one of the things that makes Avatar a very good film, is that it's so visually wonderful and the effects are so good that it compensates for the lack of story.
Yeah.
Story isn't as important because the point of it is
Sure.
what it does for VFX and what it does visually. Now, I'm saying by direct comparison, the Star Wars prequels were the first films, weren't they, that were shot entirely on digital. They drove forward visual effects like nothing before them had, and for their time, they had they were incredible visual effects. Now, of course, you can go back and look at it as you can in 20 years and look at The Way of Water and say, oh, well, now I think it's a bit cringe. But I'm asking you why you don't like the Star Wars prequels when the same argument can be made equivalently.
Because I don't think there is it's not a scaled 1-to-1 scale. I think the Star Wars, I love all of the action scenes in Star Wars and the set design, but I don't like them. I don't care about them as much as I do about the Avatar production design. I just don't.
So if it's okay, that's fine, but then surely there must be some reason beyond the visuals that makes you care more about one than the other. So I guess the interesting question is, beyond the visuals, what is it that makes you care about Avatar more?
No, Avatar, I'm saying Avatar, if I were to like do a standing ovation for like visual effects, I would give Avatar like a 10-minute standing ovation. I would give, at the time, those Star Wars movies maybe like a 4-minute standing ovation. I'm scaling the Avatar technology and immersion, the visual effects immersion, on a much higher scale. I think it's like 10 years ahead of its time. I think what you're talking about with Star Wars, the prequels, was like, yeah, they were impressive, but Lord of the Rings did a much better job like a year later. Maybe Lord of the Rings would be a better example, but I think Lord of the Rings I think the Fellowship of the Ring is one of the best films ever made. It's probably
that's true, but the Fellowship of the Ring doesn't use the same kind of high-tech production. Famously, Weta was an innovative visual effects department because it had quite a small budget, and what it was doing was making fantastic use of often well-established things, and they brought in external help from ILM, who'd had their experience working on the Star Wars prequels to enable them to do the big battle shots in Fellowship. So I don't think Fellowship is quite, if the argument is that VFX makes good, I don't think Fellowship is quite in the right.
Well, I could give you, I can maybe go a little bit deeper here. Avatar has 100% visual immersion, like the entire movie. Phantom Menace is a babysitter simulator with like a couple really cool visual scenes. It's a really pathetically boring movie. Now, Return of the Jedi.
Why? No, that's the question: is why?
Because
I'm arguing that Avatar: The Way of Water is a cripplingly boring film.
Yes, but that's okay. But what I'm saying is, when it's not being visually stimulating, Phantom Menace, when it's not doing that, I'm staring at it like a kid pod racing, and I'm staring at a kid talking, and standing in front of the Senate, all these like politics stuff. I don't care about that stuff. Now that stuff is not immersive technology, that's just boring storytelling. The boring parts of this movie are still so immersive and like brilliant the way it's presented that it makes me care less about how boring it is, because if it's boring, I can look off into the distance and watch some people, like some village people, like catch a fish or something. Like, it's a totally different beast. It's a totally different beast.
Remember when in the first Avatar film, there's that bit where he has to learn to fly, and it's visually stunning. I would say that's visually stunning the first time it happens. It looks wonderful. It's one of those things that literally tries to sweep you off your feet and into the skies of Pandora, and I think it does a reasonably good job in terms of VFX at conveying that point. And when it comes to the question of whether or not a movie is boring, Avatar: The Way of Water does that same scene, I think, 4 times in a single hour-long segment in the middle of the film. So they begin by flying off because they have to flee the forest people. And I have some stuff to say about that, because that makes no goddamn sense, given they've just abandoned their surrogate child who can lead them to the forest people. Yeah. And also he's supposed to be like a relative. And also he's the closest to Jake Sully in background, and yet Jake Sully dismisses him as an alien. But we can come to that when we actually discuss, important things like character. Anyway, you have the flying off wonderful sequence when they go across the thing. Then they have to learn to fly the flying fish. Then they have to learn to fly the Leopleurodons. At the same time, across the other side of the planet, you have Smurf Chip Hazard, the evil army man guy, who's being taught to fly the exact same creatures in the exact same way in the exact same sequence as the learning to fly sequence in the first Avatar film. Uh-huh. Now, it's interesting to me that you say the Phantom Menace is boring for the first time ever, extrapolating how politics works in prequel era Star Wars. Yeah. I can understand why people find that boring. but it's still a one-time only thing in that film, and it hasn't been done before in Star Wars, and it's a new kind of storytelling in that genre. Whereas Avatar: The Way of Water repeats itself, or repeats the first film, 4 times across an hour-long segment in the middle, doing exactly the same thing again and again and again. So what's more interesting about that?
Well, if you just look at Pacific Rim, I mean, they fight the same, giant robot fights giant monster 10 times in that movie. It's derivative. It's the same thing over and over and over again. It's very entertaining every time it happens. I'm telling you, I'm more entertained by the derivative aspects of Avatar than I am by the innovative aspects of the Phantom Menace. There's innovative films that suck. Have you ever seen Mother, Darren Aronofsky? That movie is kind of wild with its innovation. It's kind of fucking crazy and dumb, but like, it's innovative. It's innovative. I don't know why that. Are you saying innovative is good and derivative is bad here? Like what are you saying exactly?
I'm saying by and large, innovation is superior and to be preferred to derivation. Yeah,
I disagree. I mean, I've seen probably 100 martial arts movies in my lifetime, and so many of them are derivative of the previous one.
Okay, so then I think we need to establish probably, and we probably should have done this right at the beginning, quite an important difference. So that you're talking about your subjective enjoyment of a thing you like, and you enjoy it, which is fine. People can enjoy all kinds of shit. I enjoy lots of shit films. I don't enjoy Avatar because it's a bit too shit for me, but I still enjoy lots and lots of shit things.
Yes,
it seems to me the more important argument and the more interesting argument for people, because it goes beyond the subjective, is whether or not the film is actually good.
Right.
That's the premise from which the premise from which I began by definition. And I would argue that in that sense, yes, innovation is to be preferred to derivation. Something that makes a lot of money doing the same thing as some other film has done almost exactly, and then doing the same thing in the sequel as it did in the first film, because this film is derivative of itself more than it's derivative of anything else.
Right.
I think that's kind of depressing and boring, and it irritates me that it is so successful, though I understand why it is.
Yeah, I mean,
hold on, Lofty, just a second here.
Go ahead.
So the question is, yes, it is. Is it good? So it's not whether or not you liked it. Because speaking of derivative, Don is here. He's slunked in here.
I'm repping my favorite Italian man.
See that
Copa ex man lover. So
I thought
go ahead, check out his channel. He makes videos.
That's been baffling me the entire time. I just thought you'd frozen up in the corner.
No, I just love his face. I miss him. I wish he was here.
Amelia Bedelia in the chat, I actually agree with you. She says, I can subjectively enjoy something while accepting that it's shit and not recommend it. I do that all the time. I do that all the time. I actually, guilty pleasure of mine is Godzilla 98. I think it's funny.
Oh, God.
It's corny. Ugh. I think Matthew Broderick is cringe and it makes it entertaining. I think Jean Reno is cool in that movie. I think some of the stuff's just funny, but I'm not going to recommend it. I will recommend this movie to people that enjoy spectacle event movies. And I will not recommend this movie to people who don't care about that stuff. It's just simple. It's very simple calculation. You shouldn't could you guys at least agree that recommending a movie is very subjective. You should never recommend something to somebody else just because you like it. That's a terrible idea. You're going to get a lot of
no, hold on. I thought we just settled on the fact that you were arguing from a point of subjective enjoyment, in which case you are recommending it because you like it.
No. What I'm saying is, I could say, I think Alien. I think, let's see, David Cronenberg's The Brood is one of the greatest horror films ever made. But I could not recommend it to somebody who's just like a slasher movie horror fan. Like you have to know who you're talking to and like what they enjoy. If somebody's turned off by spectacle popcorn movies and like doesn't care about technology as much as other people, I'm not going to recommend Avatar ever. I just won't do it. Because it's not a great story. I already said this. It's not like it's very generic.
The characters are generic too. The whole thing is. This whole film is kind of generic, and it's nice to look at, but I found some of especially near the end, with the lighting and when they were sort of fighting in the water and the fire was, it looked kind of not cheap, but it didn't look like what I was promised it would look like, at least like on my TV. I didn't watch it in the theater, so I don't know what that looked like, but it looked kind of like, action figures fighting each other.
Yeah.
At some point, not so much actual characters. And I thought that really I was surprised because I wanted the spectacle. This is supposed to be like the perfect, most expensive film ever. And so I did pick it apart, maybe more so because I was sold that, but it doesn't help that I didn't care.
Well, Zach, that's a valid opinion. I just know, another thing you have to say is there are a lot of people that agree with me. I mean, I know I'm getting sort of the short end of the stick here trying to defend Avatar on stream, which is a very...
You've got Flaccid here to back you up. He's not backing you up.
Hold on.
Flaccid, step up.
Objectively speaking, defending Avatar and what Barbie, if we're going to talk about that tonight, is very difficult to do on a stream when it's one of the easiest things in the world is to criticize Avatar for various reasons.
Well, that's largely because there's so much in it to criticize Avatar.
Right.
However, that's debatable because that's why we're having a debate. I'm just saying Avatar is a meme. It's literally a meme. Like people who haven't even seen it are roasting me in chat right now. I know that for a fact.
They roast you for sport though, Lofty. It's not.
I'm not saying.
Yeah. I respect that you defend your positions. Like seriously, I do always.
I know, but I'm saying I know people in chat have seen it. If you have, I'm not talking about you. I just know for a fact that people who have not seen it and have watched Platoon or Gary or somebody who I think Geeks and Gamers was the main channel that I follow that actually enjoyed Avatar, like Ryan Kinnell, or the second one. But I'm just saying there's a lot of people that will dunk on you for liking a movie that they haven't even watched.
Well, that's fine, but that's part and parcel of being on the internet. But I mean, if we're talking about what makes Avatar a good or not film, I don't really see the relevance.
No. What I'm saying was somebody said something and it made me think of that. I have to defend it. Here, this is what it is. I have to explain to you guys that there are a lot of Avatar fans that just are not on this stream, except Flaccid.
I completely understand and accept that it made $1 billion. There were lots of fans of Avatar, and I don't particularly care because we're talking about whether or not it's a good film.
I know. I'm just saying I am speaking for people that exist.
Good. Well done.
And one of the other pet peeves of mine is when people criticize this movie, they say, I don't know a single person who's watched it. It's like, what does that even mean? Like, what? Like,
I know. No, I understand. But no one has made that point.
Cultural impact whatsoever. Like, it really is a bizarre thing. We talked about anytime we talk about Avatar, we bring this up about the fact that, for whatever reason, it was absolutely not a water cooler movie. Like, it had no cultural relevance after it was in theaters.
When I was younger, it did. Everybody watched it that I knew.
Yeah, but then it faded. You know how people still talk about the Dark Knight?
It did not fade at all.
But it really isn't one of those kind of things that is it's a blip on the radar instead of something that we talk about for months or years on end, like the MCU or something.
That's fair, but if you're comparing it to MCU and DC movies, it's kind of an unfair thing because you guys
made billions of dollars.
We shit on those movies. We wouldn't even talk about the Marvels if we didn't shit on it.
Maybe to borrow from Cynic's point and press point on you, Lofty. So you'll agree, I think, that one of the most important characters in Avatar: The Way of Water is Jake's youngest son. Can you tell me what his name is?
Jake's youngest son is named
Obama.
Fuck! Help me out, Placid. Fuck.
I said Obama, I think.
Wait, the youngest boy?
Obama?
Wait,
Obama.
Time.
Fuck, I don't remember.
I got you there.
How many times have you seen this movie?
All I remember.
Just turtle, Lofty.
Honestly,
roll with him. Roll with him.
Honestly, Kiri and Natiri are the only ones I remember that happen to be the women, but they're way more interesting than the sons. They just are.
But the youngest son has an entire hour devoted to him, and he's the instigating factor in the entire final battle. And the whole resolution of the film is the family coming together because he betrayed them and went off with the outcast whale. So
Brother Platoon. I've seen every episode of My Hero Academia. I couldn't tell you half of their names. Maybe I could tell you 4 of their names. Because guess what? I don't I don't memorize Japanese names very well. I have a hard time with it. Same thing with these names. I just looked it up. Netayem. I'm never gonna remember that. I'm just never gonna remember it. If his
Okay,
name was
but-
Bob,
but
I would remember it. I don't know
you
what
would,
I don't know
you
what
would
your point
remember it. I would have thought. Well, because I was borrowing from what Cynic was saying about its minimal cultural impact, and I was asking that question specifically because I think if
has
Avatar had
nothing to
left
do
a
because My Hero
significant cultural
Academia
impact, you
is
might be able to name the second
incredibly
most important
influential.
character in the film.
No, that's
but
not true at all. That's not true at all. My Hero
No?
Academia is incredibly influential. And I'm telling
I'm
you,
not
I'm telling
talking
you,
about an anime.
I
I'm talking about
as a
Avatar.
very as a big fan of that show. I love it. I love that show. I have a hard time remembering Japanese first and last names. I have a hard time with it. Unless a character has a nickname or something, I'm not going to remember their name.
How many episodes are there of My Hero Academia, and how many main characters are there?
80. Oh, there's a lot, but like maybe
Okay,
80.
but,
I don't know, 100
I'm talking about one film with probably the deuteragonist of the entire film. It's like
Yeah,
the
that's
analogous
him.
character
No,
in
you're right.
another work of fiction is probably going to be someone like Princess Leia.
Yes,
He's important to
yes.
the plot. So when
But-
Cynic was saying it's left a minimal cultural legacy, I was driving that point home by pointing out that you can't name the deuteragonist of the film.
No,
which is
that's
an incredibly important part of the film. I believe.
And you've seen the movie 3
That's correct.
times. You spent like 11
yes,
hours
that's correct.
with family.
That's correct. That's correct. You're right about the character. Like I already said, the characters, the sons are just sort of, they're not very interesting people.
They're also not hot. Can I just make a side note there? They're not hot.
Their character arcs are more interesting than their personalities, but just by a margin. But if you're saying, oh, this Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, like Chewbacca, like no. They'll never be. They'll never. This is not a modern myth. This is not a modern mythology. This is not like Tolkien or George Lucas creating a modern myth. It's not happening with James Cameron at all. I never said that.
But I mean, I'd be completely with you if you said that it wasn't aspiring to any kind of cultural legacy, except that there are about 7 sequels planned and 3 video games.
Yes.
But you did speak earlier, and this is one of the other things I was going to try and go back to, is that one of the first things you praised about the film is the world building, and you praised the aesthetics of the world building. Now, I don't think there's any reason Avatar shouldn't aspire to be the great epic of our time. All the trailers told me it was the cinematic event of a generation, and everybody watched it, and everyone watched it, so everyone else went to see it. Now, if Avatar actually had done what I would consider to be world building, which is more than just pretty visuals on the screen, and if it had actually gone in and had, maybe at least 2 characters in the entire thing would be fun, or a story that actually had beats in it that people could remember, and characters that didn't contradict those beats, and thematic messaging that actually resonated with people, rather than just trying to make them feel vaguely soporific, then maybe we'd be looking at something which had lasting cultural legacy, which is something it should have. It's made that much money, and so much money is spent on it, and the studios themselves back it to such a degree. Surely you would want it to be, as a fan of the film, a more profound cultural property than it actually is.
Do I want it to be profound? Is that what you're asking? If I want it to be if I would prefer it be more profound and like accepted by
you said
society?
it's not a modern myth like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings, and I'm saying, but wouldn't you want it to be?
I don't care, because I watch these movies again because they're entertaining to watch. Like it literally is the Pacific Rim to me. It's like, do I know any character in Pacific Rim? Not really. I don't know their names. I've seen that movie maybe 10 times. I love that movie with a passion. I know a lot of people that love Pacific Rim, by the way. It's like a cult classic. I don't give a fuck about any Godzilla character names. I don't care. There's certain films that people watch because they're entertaining visually. And I think Avatar is the peak prime example of, like, in my opinion, one of the most magical films ever made in terms of the technology, by the way. I'm not talking about the story. Just as a spectacle, as something that you go to the movie theater 6 times to watch. Avatar is up there with Endgame, maybe not Endgame, Infinity War, Planet of the Apes. There's not many movies in this that I would do this for in modern day Hollywood. There's not. It's literally, in my opinion, you can disagree with me, but in my opinion, it's literally like if Lord of the Rings had a terrible story, but it had just the same production design, like, holy fuck, I would fucking watch that thing a bunch of times. But it happens to have an amazing story.
Okay.
I'm just trying to explain why I enjoy sitting down and hitting play and watching it. It's all about the visual immersion. It's all about these special effects. And I'm saying it's I think Quantumanium is like it makes Quantumanium look like a stop motion movie made by like a 12-year-old. That's the dramatic difference between Avatar and Quantumanium and Marvel. Now that's my opinion. You can
Are we
disagree with
really doing comparisons with Ant-Man 3 to
Yeah,
make a point?
No, I'm picking anything. Pick the Flash. I don't care what you pick. They're all terrible. I mean,
Yeah, no, I agree. Completely agree. They are all terrible, and they're apt comparisons for Avatar for that reason. I just don't think they're a good comparison that you should be making. But this is it goes back to the point with sort of I tried to begin with, which is again predicated on the conversation about the film's objective qualities as opposed to whether or not you can sit back and enjoy it. I would argue that, and I did do this in the video as well, the thing that pisses me off probably the most about Avatar is exactly what you're saying about it. It's the cinematic equivalent of the feelies. It's sensations, and it's pretty visuals, and it's a soothing kind of vague soundtrack that you can occasionally pinpoint a hint of a theme in, but it's not actually asking any questions of itself or of the audience. It has no story to tell, no characters to convey.
A little bit.
And that's just boring and depressing, and the fact that it's so successful is going to mean bad things for cinema, because it turns out all that trouble people have with writing characters and stories, you don't need to do it. You just need to make sure that people feel vaguely stimulated and content with what they're seeing, and that's all you need for cinema as an art form. And I would have thought, as an aficionado, because I know you have good taste in other respects in cinema, I would have thought as someone who values cinema as an art form, you'd probably hold Avatar to a higher standard than you are.
Yes, I do. I hold it, and I think it's like Kino spectacle cinema. Like it's some of the best all time. And you're right. Now I shit on modern horror films frequently for making a lot of money and drawing in the normies and sort of diluting the genre, blah 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 blah. I understand. Now maybe you would agree. Maybe that's a sort of a better comparison with Avatar. It's like, well, why? Well, Lofty, if you think Megan was trash, which it was. Why and normie, PG-13 garbage. Why are you doing the same thing with Avatar? I'm telling you, Avatar is infinitely more impressive to me than Megan within the same scope of being derivative storytelling. It's so much more impressive to me that if bad stories, if One Piece, no, One Piece is a good story. If another terrible movie came out with like this quality, like if they took them 12 years to make it and it was like fucking incredible visually, I would be excited for it. Like I wish bad movies looked better than they did. If a bad movie comes out and it looks amazing, I'm going to enjoy it probably. I mean, it depends on how amazing it looks, but it's there. You guys, there's this, can I say the bundle of sticks word?
No, let's not do the bundle of sticks word.
There's this.
Lofty.
Say it.
There's this visual archetype. I don't know if I can say it. It's
Lofty. I want to play something for you that's going to help you make your point here, because you compared this to Endgame.
I'm
and
trying
Endgame
to explain something.
Has problems, but it's not perfect. But it has a speech at the end. Everyone remembers, "I am inevitable." This is the equivalent of that in this movie.
Please don't hurt her. Just please let her go. Please
don't kill him.
Listen to me. Let her go. Don't hurt her.
Mom, don't kill him. Son for son.
What a performance!
It's not bad.
Don't kill her. No, don't kill her.
Look, if you cherry pick, that's fine. Like, if you're
I
caught up in
did
the
cherry
movie,
pick for sure.
I mean, yeah, if you're caught up in the movie, it's sort of dramatic at that point. But like, I mean, that's just it's. I'm not trying to convince anybody. By the way, it's not my job. I'm just explaining. I'm defending the movie from somebody who enjoys it.
And Floss is just leaving you hanging there, right by yourself.
Well, listen, I got a totally different perspective on this movie, but I'm going to continue to let Lofty.
No, let me just. I wanted to say the bundle of sticks thing. There's a term for people that obsess over story. Okay. And everything, if it has a bad story, it's automatically terrible. If it has a bad story, they're called something. I can't really say what they're called. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is I don't fucking care about story sometimes. What, like, Pacific Rim has a stupid storyline. Stupid. So does Godzilla, by the way. It's dumb. But like, guess what? They're fucking entertaining.
Fine,
So
but would they be
that's-
better? Would they be better with a good story?
No, are you kidding me, dude? Godzilla, are you kidding me? Godzilla is peak, like the original Godzilla is peak. With the original actually has an okay story, but like,
Yeah.
what like Marshall, like
Is the original Godzilla better than, say, King of the Monsters?
King of the Monsters has, if I
That's
could
a yes
isolate,
or no answer.
yes.
Okay,
Yes.
why?
Because it has a better story.
Okay, so we can dispense with the if you only care about story.
I
blah, blah,
didn't
blah.
finish.
Well,
I didn't finish.
That was all I
It
wanted
also
to get
has-
out. Was like if the thing has a better story, it makes for a better movie. Then
Yeah.
okay, story kind of matters.
But it also has a charming production design. It's like
Okay,
you can't even.
yeah.
But the new you're comparing things that I don't think are that amazing. Like it's like you're asking me to compare. Like I think Avatar is so much better than both of them. Like I don't understand the comparison. Look,
The comparison was the one that you invited, and the reason I was doing that is because you dismiss people who only looked at story in film, because of course it can still be entertaining without a good story. That's fair enough. I completely accept that. You found it entertaining, fine,
Yes.
whatever. It's not at all what we're talking about, because we've got past that point. I said, would it be better with a better story? And you said yes, meaning story matters, and Avatar would be a better film if Avatar actually had a story.
I said this already many times. If Avatar had a better story, it would be a masterpiece.
Oh, good. Okay.
I already gave the movie like an 8. Like I'm being generous with that. But what I'm saying is, if a Jackie Chan martial arts movie has a horrible fucking story, but it's one of the best, like police story. It's not that good of a storyline, but it's one of the greatest martial arts films ever made. It's almost a perfect movie. I don't give a fuck that it has a bad story. I don't care. It's not the point of the movie. You know, it's just not. It's like, it's not why I watched it 20 times.
I do. It would be helpful if we could do this really clear divide, which we did try and do earlier, between your subjective enjoyment of the film and the objective quality of the film. Because I think we've established that you enjoy we've established you enjoy the film. That's fine. We've had that since basically minute number 3. And I'm kind of trying to get us back onto the point of objective film criticism. Now, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. It's just, it will just be me saying, but what about story? And you saying, well, I enjoyed it anyway. And I don't think that's going to be particularly fruitful.
We started by giving our opinions about the story. And I said it was like safe and generic and maybe like mid at best. I don't know. That's not really I think what we're trying to discuss here is number one, like the future of Hollywood and like what we should be expecting from Hollywood, and also why Avatar 2 is sort of polarizing, and why there's a lot of people that don't understand at all why people like it. That's actually why I'm here. People don't like, there's people that just like, who the fuck likes this movie and why? And that's why I'm here. That's the only reason I'm here.
It's because I'm almost one of those, except that I've been, in these conversations long enough to know better, but people are instinctively not satisfied when you say, because it looks nice. Because people usually, not always, but usually want something more of a film, which is trying to tell a story. Film is a narrative storytelling medium, after all. People don't really like being satisfied when you say, but the characters are shit and the story is shit, and you say, but it looks great.
But I don't just think it looks great. I think it's the best looking film ever made. So
I think, dude, I just think that story is like the foundation of everything, because no matter what, it's a visual medium, but it's a visual
think of the Mad Max Fury Road story
medium. Like,
what do you think of the Mad Max Fury Road story? I'm really curious what your thoughts are about like the depths of the character development in that movie.
Oh, I wouldn't make the argument you're making for Avatar 2, though.
Do you? No, what do you think of the story? I'm just asking.
It was not very good. I didn't have
do you dislike the movie because of that?
No, I also don't absolutely hate Avatar 2. I just think it's absolutely mid across the board.
That's my point. As
Can I ask
people
you to skim back, I think 3 slides to the one with the fire.
Yes.
I just think Mad Max, Top Gun, these are movies that are very entertaining with incredibly slim skeletal storylines.
Yeah, this is a good example of it, I think, of kind of what we're dealing with here. So the premise, for anyone who hasn't seen the film and is shitting on Lofty anyway, which he doesn't like, The premise
I don't
here
care.
is
No,
that
no, no, no. I
they've
love
been-
it. I love it.
They've been fighting on this ship. They fought on the ship. Everyone left the ship, and by contrivance of fuckery, everyone somehow ended up back on exactly the same ship in exactly the same situation, because that's how stories work. They've now gone off the ship, but unfortunately, Spider, who was left unguarded through this entire time, even though they know he's not their friend, trashed the ship, creating this wall of fire. The wall of fire is currently trapping the Smurf fam in this pool of water, so they can't escape the ship. Now, what is one quality of fire that most people are, basically aware of since, I guess, second grade physics?
Dex knows.
It's hot.
It's hot.
And
The other one
Hot
is that
girl.
fire.
Hot girl. Slay queen. Slay queen.
Yeah. The other one is
Let's
that
go.
fire generally, because this is an oil slick that has been set light to, right? And the oil slick is trapping them in to drive up narrative tension, which you can say is impressive if you like.
Oh.
Now, we had an hour-long segment in the middle of the film where they go underwater for a really long time, and they all learn to breathe. And it's really important that they learn to breathe underwater. What could they all do in this precise moment to get out of the situation that the film needs them to be in? They could go underneath the fucking fire. And that, just watching that, and there's actually a shot later on, about 5 minutes later on in the film, where they are under the water, and lo and behold, you see the fire on top of the water. And then you see, oh, there's no reason for any of them to be here. All of this has been contrived into being to please people who just want cheap action thrills. And it makes no goddamn sense. And as soon as you see it, you think, yeah, that's kind of dumb. And the more attention you pay to that kind of thing, the more staggeringly dumb stuff you see, and the less enjoyable the film becomes, because the writing isn't very good.
That's not why I like the movie, though. I agree it's dumb. I mean, I agree that Pacific Rim is one of the dumbest movies, but I like it because I like it because it's just giant robots punching giant monsters.
That's
Like,
fine.
the
I know.
fact-
I'm trying to move away from the "but I like it"
contrived-
defense, because
but the
otherwise we
contrived-
could have been here for like 5
You
minutes.
can do this with
Zach
Pacific
says,
Rim.
"What do you think about the film?"
Oh,
And you say, "I
God.
like it," and I say, "I don't like it." End of discussion. There's no point having a conversation if we're just talking about what we like subjectively. We are trying to talk about the film, the way it's constructed, what is objectively good and bad about the damn thing. That's the premise for the conversation,
not what
isn't
we're
it?
doing, actually.
So we're
not at
just,
all
well, then why are we here?
Well, I told you, because people don't understand why people like Avatar. I'm explaining it. Number two, we're talking about the future of Hollywood and like what this movie does to the zeitgeist of like our, of our collective interest in theater experiences. And we're just talking about spectacle cinema and its values and like why we should care about it. Like I don't know. This isn't like an autistic like movie breakdown Roger Ebert session. Like I don't know why. Like just make a video. You already did.
But Lofty, this is one of the questions is like, why did this have such an effect on the box office? Like people, it was
Because
2.5
I
billion.
am one of a lot of fucking people that
But what does that say?
have so much fun going to the movie theater, watching these movies.
This movie, they like they already
What
kind
does
of
it say?
touched on. The
What do you think it
obstacles
says?
are so manufactured in this
What do you think
story
it says?
to put these
Why-
kids in peril. Like for example,
wait, Zach.
Yeah.
What do you think it says that this movie made $2.4 billion?
I think that people thought it was going to be pretty, and I think people willed their grandparents in to go see it. I think that's part of it.
Oh, so you're not. So you're gonna have to bring up some numbers, dude, of like weekly drops if you really want to make make that argument, because this movie had legs.
No, I know it did. It did.
Okay,
it
so
did,
make
it did
a
really
different
well.
argument.
People.
So make a different argument.
I think more people went to see it because it was it's fast food, I suppose. But I didn't know it was bad until I watched it, which was yesterday. So I hadn't seen it, but this is like there's scenes like this one here where this is near the end where it's contrived to put these kids in peril. Like if there's a hole, I guarantee you that kid's gonna wander over and fall in it just like this.
Go, go, go!
Mom, take my hand!
Like it's and by the end of the movie, it's one thing after another. And for lack of a better words, that kid got sucked back in.
That's intense. That's
There we
intense. I like that part. I mean,
It's
really intense when you spend an hour setting up the fact that all these guys can breathe for a really long time underwater, and somehow you contrive to make water the threat to them. Yeah,
they can't.
Really good job.
What are you talking about? They have problems breathing underwater. They established this many times.
And then they get over those problems. That was the
No, they
whole
don't.
point of the breathing.
No, they don't.
There's a specific scene where they get over it. Yeah, there is. I mean, you've watched the
but
film 3 times. I thought you would have remembered it
No,
because
they don't get over. It can't infinitely breathe underwater. That's
No,
never.
I'm not saying they can
been.
infinitely breathe underwater. I'm saying they can breathe underwater for an unnaturally long period of time. And so just falling
Because
into
they're
water
aliens?
shouldn't really be the threat to these characters. There's a bit later on, because remember, of course, that the villain, whose name I don't fucking Chip Hazard, whatever his name is, he's never had any of the underwater training. And you're on a ship. It's him versus Jake Sully, and Jake's had the underwater training. And you think, well, okay, one of these guys knows how to breathe underwater. There's been a huge point made out of this. He knows that he knows how to breathe underwater, and he knows that his opponent does not. What would maybe he want to be doing in this situation? Would he maybe want to be fighting in the water against his villain, or would he do everything possible within his power to stay out of the water in his villain's element and then panic when he goes under the water, thereby destroying the whole hour worth of underwater breathing character development that the film inflicted on us?
The underwater breathing character development comes into play when Jake cannot exit the ship. He's dead. He's dead. And the reason he's not dead is because the whale helps him, but and because his son helps him. But it does come into play. I mean, they're fighting because they have this adrenaline rush. It's very obvious. I mean, they're fighting inside of a ship. There's pockets of air. I don't know what you're saying even.
I'm saying that the guy has not made any use of anything that we've spent the last 2.5 hours him learning about in the course of this film. So there is no payoff to the mechanic that we spent ages doing because
he learned how to ride. No, you're wrong. He learned how to ride that Barracuda thing, and that's how he effectively got on to this ship to begin with.
No, I'm talking very specifically about the fight sequence here, as set up when I said in the fight sequence, this is what happens.
I mean, it's just a fight sequence. It's not that deep. I don't know why you're trying to analyze.
No, I know it's not that deep. I'm saying it's not making any use of anything that the film could have used to make it deeper.
Have to. It's a fight. Doesn't have to make it.
Oh my god! Well, we're going back to the story point. Are there better and worse types of fight?
Yeah. I thought this fight was fantastic.
Would the fight have been better had it used mechanics and lessons that we'd seen the character learn throughout, and we saw him realize something on the back of his learning that allowed him to alter his tactics? It would not have been better had he actually made decisions in line with his character.
Yeah, you have to give an example. Like, I don't know what you're talking about specifically.
Like, wouldn't it be an example like in the Karate Kid, him learning the crane kick and then using it at the end, right, as like the signature? Oh, he's using that. Versus like if you never saw him using the crane kick to begin with, and then all of a sudden he pulls it out or uses some random move. It's not nearly as satisfying. I totally agree. Yeah, there's definitely some setup payoffs you should need.
But that's exactly what I was talking about. So thank you. That's exactly what I was saying.
A karate kick?
No, you just show like you set up and then pay off later. And sometimes it's so telegraphed. You can tell in some bad films like, oh, this is going to come in handy at the end, right? You're like, oh, come on.
They don't set up John Wick choreography. We just assume that he's a good fighter, and they don't set shit up for those fight scenes.
I wouldn't be surprised if they actually did. I don't actually like John Wick particularly. Movie Cynic's much more of the John Wick fan, but I wouldn't be at all surprised to learn that John Wick learned something about his enemies earlier in the film that he exploited later in a fight scene. It's fairly standard practice in action scenes.
No. He's a very reaction-based fighter. CQC.
Oh, fair enough then. Then in which case that my same criticism applies to John Wick. But given we're not talking about John Wick and I don't like the film, I don't really see the point.
I've seen a lot of martial arts movies, and Chad Stahelski, he's worked on The Matrix. I think he's one of the best choreographers in the entire industry. He's worked under Yen Wu-ping. I don't see how that's a criticism of the John Wick fight choreography. It's John Wick fight choreography. Is
no one's criticizing John Wick fight choreography. I don't think.
Right, but Platoon just said it would have been better if they set up some sort of like cliche setup. Practicing.
Isn't the fact that he knows CQC the setup?
Practicing a kick earlier in the movie and then landing it later. That's corny.
No, it's something like learning that you've been able to breathe underwater for an extended period of time and knowing that your enemy can't do that, which informs how you approach the fight. This isn't even a major point of criticism I have, by the way. It's just one of a billion little things that stand out. If you don't just sit back and say, well...
I don't agree with.
Weird.
I don't agree with the nitpick. It's a nitpick that you're coming up with on the spot because you don't have a better argument. Literally...
That I'll leave it to the fair-minded people in the audience to decide who's been making the best.
That's fine. The problem with the breathing thing comes into play when Jake basically is giving up dead at the end of the movie because he can't make it out of the ship. It comes into play. Everybody. They even bring in a creature that they introduced earlier in the movie, exactly what you're talking about, that they set up that helps you breathe underwater. They introduced this creature a long time ago in the movie, and they brought it back as a sort of a follow-up. They did exactly what you're describing.
No, that's not.
Okay.
What I'm talking about is the fight scene. Are you telling me that the fact they introduced the creature earlier on and they exploit it with a payoff later on, that's a good thing, right?
Yes, that's.
And I'm saying that's what they
cool.
should have done with the fight scene to make the fight scene better. It's
disagree.
not that hard to follow.
I just disagree. I think the fight scene was fine. It was really well choreographed.
I'm sure it's
fight scene.
fine.
Yeah.
I'm talking about what makes it better, and because it ties into character as well, right?
We're not gonna agree
evidently
on
not. But I'm trying to tie it into character as well, because this is an aspect of, the character has gone through, supposedly he's supposed to have gone through this journey in which he learns new skills to be part of a new group of people, and that doesn't actually pay off when this is one example when it doesn't pay off in the way that it should. So it ties into the broader criticism of character, which is that character doesn't really form and doesn't really arc in this show at all, to the extent that he leaves his forest people at the beginning because he doesn't want to bring the war to them. And then at the end of the film, when the same question is put to him by the ocean people, he says, no, we will stay and fight because these are my people. There's no arc there, and the arc isn't demonstrated in the small things like the fight scene or the overall narrative of the main character of the entire film. We have ended where we have begun. He has made a different decision for no reason. In fact, he's actually contradicted the sound motive he had to leave the forest people in the first place by putting his new family in danger. So, like, the whole point of picking even small things like this is that they do tie together to a broader analysis of character progression, what characters learn and what they do and value.
There's so much to respond to there. It's kind of crazy. But have you seen The Northman? The movie?
No.
Okay, so the end of that movie has just a one-on-one testosterone infused just brawl. It's just a brawl at the end of that movie. There is no setup for that. It's I hate you, you hate me, let's go. If you bring this into Avatar, Jake Sully says, let's go. He literally says it. It's literally two guys who hate each other's fucking guts trying to kill each other to protect. One's protecting his family because if he thinks he kills the guy, his family will be safe. He doesn't care about his own life. The other one is trying to fulfill a mission that eventually he'll probably figure out that he doesn't need to do, but he has this sort of clone, mentality. Is complicated.
I'm so glad you brought that up because he's a really, really good example of how character is balked in this film. Like the villain,
I don't like him.
Is the Smurf clone of a villain who died in the first film, who we learn in this film left himself a video log saying, I'm not going to die, but here's what you do when I do. And then they create for him a Smurf avatar, which the first film explains they can't do because it's really expensive and they don't have the technology because only the Na'vi have that. And yet they've done that before the end of the first film, according to this film, in order to put the memories of this guy in the body of a clone who, when the plot demands, doesn't think he is this guy, but when the plot doesn't demand, does think he is this guy. So, he believes that he is this person. He takes on his loathing of Jake Sully and his one single-minded ambition and mission to kill him, even though he later learns that it wasn't Jake who killed him, it was Neytiri, and that doesn't change his character at all because the film doesn't do writing. But when it comes to Spider, who is the son that this guy never mentioned because they hadn't thought of it yet, he decides, well, I'm actually kind of not all the memories I have that form my personality. I'm not that guy. I'm some other guy because I ran into this kid 5 minutes ago and had 30 seconds with him. And that means that I'm a father figure because the film needs to stress the point of conflicts between fathers. This is not sensible character writing at all. It's a laughably contrived villain.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like him very much. I think he's an entertaining actor. I think his brutality is sort of interesting. I don't think his character is very deep at all. I didn't even like him in the first movie. That's not. Yeah, I agree.
I think he's the best thing in this. That's just the only reason. Well, listen. My take on
go
this
ahead.
is
You go. I have to go.
Death of the
bathroom.
Okay. Death of the author. This is all Stephen Lang's movie. You're watching his origin story here. You watch him grow as a character. They grow consciousness, and then he knows he has his child. So it's just weird. He's building himself up and realizing his existence, and he crushes his own skull, dude. Oh, it's so badass looking. But I grade this movie on a curve because if you look at CGI that came out all of last year, this has to be the best movie CGI wise by any movie. And for some reason, I don't know why in the industry there's such a huge drop off in CGI. Maybe because I really don't know why. I haven't done any investigating why it's the CGI looks so bad. But this movie for me is just Stephen Lang's movie, and that's the reason why I enjoy it is his scenes. Stephen Lang's a great actor. I love him in everything he does. He's a perfect character. Perfect. He's a beautiful marine boy who gets put into a blue body, crushes his own skull. And name me one other character that's ever done that before in fictional history, guys.
Alas, poor Yorick. I knew him.
That was pretty big. I agree. Crushing his own skull was pretty good. And looking at his kid as he does it, that was nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's entertaining, the movie. I think it's entertaining, but I think it's a gilded turd. If you go any deeper than it's like surface level entertainment, you don't find much there except for feces. But I enjoy it for because like you just said, Little Platoon, like this is such a bad setup for a villain, but it's so corny that I'm like, okay, I know what movie I'm in now. But I don't think that's what they're delivering to me. They want it to be a serious movie. I just believe in like, I guess at some point when watching entertainment, there's a death of the author aspect for me. That no, this is the movie I want now, so I'll enjoy it for what it is.
I don't. Well, yeah, I mean, I sort of see where you're coming from. I don't really get that that's death of the author at all, because it's not as though. Well, no, I think I need you to expand and explain on what you mean by that.
Well, just that it's a corny movie and not a serious movie. That it's like we would like it to be an Avatar or a Star Wars like thing, and I see it as like almost a 80s action commando mixed with some sci-fi in it. It's not that good. And then I also, for me, this is me personally, I don't think anyone else enjoys it for this reason, but Stephen Lang's the main character for me. This guy here, he's the main character. I'm on his journey with him. That's where I say it's death of the author. I don't think anyone else should view it this way, but for me to enjoy it, I have to like put myself in this mental gymnastics to enjoy it this way.
I don't think it's not really death of the author, because we're not arguing here with James Cameron's interpretation of what the moral point and message of the film is. We're evaluating the film that we've actually got. I think we're actually evaluating exactly what James Cameron intended to give us. I don't think he had any lofty aspirations for this thing at all, because he's an increasingly shallow filmmaker. So it's not that I'm not arguing with James Cameron saying, hey, this is a work of high art, and I'm saying no, it isn't. This is a work of art, allegedly, which I am trying to interrogate as a work of art on an objective basis, on the basis that you can actually say this is a good or a bad film, and not just, well, I kind of enjoyed it. Because again, if we were doing that, we could have been out of here like an hour ago.
Sure, and I agree with you on that aspect. My whole thing was the focus of the movie for me is Stephen Lang, which is not James Cameron's intention. It's supposed to be Sully and his family. I'm just focused on Stephen Lang because he's a badass Marine boy. Getting his revenge.
He's a daddy. That's why you like him.
Well, getting on this revenge on those dirty Na'vi, dude. Ugh.
I think that what you guys were getting at earlier, which is true, is that they spend so much time. Like, that's a question I have. Like, you mentioned it already in the chat, but like, why did this do so well? Why did people go to it, whether they liked it or not, or talked about it later or not? But it's a lot of it was a setup and payoff, and that they set things up that they just didn't do anything with for a 3-hour and 15-minute movie. I don't know why they made some of the choices they did, because spending the money they spent and taking the time they took, they could have made an incredible movie. They had the technology, they had the time. James Cameron's a talented guy, and they just chose to tell it in this such an odd way by wasting time. Like you'd mentioned about learning to swim and breathe underwater, hold your breath, and that they spent all that time, and then when it could have come in handy, it's like it never happened. And so I think that's where you're sort of missing that one, Left. You're in the chat, you're not on the mic right now, but it's the crane kick was set up, and had they wasted the time on the crane kick and then it not come up later on, then it's a waste of time to show that move.
There's actually two really good examples of this in the film. There are two things that the film introduces which are really, really fertile ground for actually, telling a story, asking something of the audience. The audience is basically going to be guaranteed for something like this. You're not going to lose 1 billion viewers if you actually include a story or a moral point and purpose. There are 2 points. The first of them is, it is mentioned in a single line of dialogue, and never again, that Earth is now dying. Right. That's a really important point, because it should really ask the audience important questions. Like, okay, we instinctively want to side with the Na'vi. On the other hand, the humans need somewhere to go because they're all going to die. What is the price of our continued existence is a pretty important moral question that the film does nothing with, because it just inserted that to keep in track with the development of modern environmentalists at dinner parties that James Cameron wants to please. It doesn't actually do anything with that. And the second one is they find whale goo in the brains of dead whales that could end human aging. And that, again, is an incredibly important thing. In the first place, why are there any fucking whales left? Because that's the most valuable item in existence. But then in the second place, you've got effectively, by remove, another example of what is the price of human existence? What are we supposed to be doing? Who can we actually be rooting for? Our own species at the cost of immense environmental destruction, or the other people who are basically going to kill us if they get their way, though that's not their intent? Or is there supposed to be some moral meeting in the middle where we learn to live alongside the Na'vi more as they are? That's a basic moral arc that the film had all the ingredients to go on, and it didn't, because it doesn't give a shit. It just threw those things in as essentially color dialogue, which is astounding, because ultimately the biggest criticism of the film is how empty it is. And yet it has these ingredients to make a really easy but quite compelling moral story alongside the story it's otherwise trying to tell, and it just doesn't do it.
Three things. Number one, you're right. The movie is sort of skeletal in its Zach said something. I had to go to the bathroom and I got another drink. Zach said something about the movie has had potential, and then Platoon was just talking about sort of the failure of that potential, I think. Number one, he wrote this movie in 1994. He wrote the original Avatar, so it does have this sort of dated. You have to keep that in mind. You have to do it. It's like it has this sort of dated thing happening with it. Does that mean every movie in 1994 was bad? No, but I mean it's sort of dated.
Just a point of clarification. I thought that was true of the first film. It's not true of this one.
No. I'm saying, well, he did set. Well, I mean, unless you're arguing that the first Avatar is generic, and then somehow they I don't know how. I feel like this is a pretty standard continuation of the first movie. Like it sort of makes sense. I don't know. Are you saying that?
How many times in the script is unobtainium mentioned?
In what, the second one?
I think
none.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, is it mentioned?
No, it's never mentioned.
Yeah, I don't think it's mentioned.
So that's the.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. They can't. I'm totally willing to admit. I've said this and I've said 10 times that I don't like unobtainium. I like the first movie even less. I don't like the whole. I don't love the whole. Betraying your humanity and siding with the other people. Like it's like I've seen this before a million times. It doesn't make it bad. It just makes it cliche. I still enjoy the first movie for what it is. It's like it's an enjoyable, entertaining blockbuster movie, but it's just sort of cliche. Now, this movie does try to do some innovative things with meeting another tribe. It's also setting up. We have to keep in mind there's like a 6. This is part 2 of 6. It's its standalone story about this tribe that they're infiltrating, or not infiltrating, trying to become sort of like I don't know. I think that I think that's an go ahead.
Well, so let me get to this one here because it's Bass Player 2011 for 1999. Thank you very much. And this kind of fits with what you're talking about anyways, about James Cameron and his process. Fun fact, Avatar was the first film Cameron made since Titanic. And with Avatar, he cemented his formula, make broad, appealing films that will make a boatload of money. Cameron has become what Bay was a decade ago. And so, but like, I think that does seem like it is true. And there were opportunities here to have made things they could have made choices to make this a more engaging film, have things like blend together. It was just, looking at the action scenes, I enjoyed that massive battle. I thought it looked pretty well done to me.
Yes.
But when I was watching them, I was trying to remember, why are we doing this? Like what is their intent anymore? because it was kind of to go and get Jake Sully, but this is a lot to go get one guy. And they've shown us all the tech that they have and that they don't use to try to find these different villages. None of it sort of fits together. And I think it couldn't have been that much more difficult to make it fit.
I'm having a hard time trying to figure out what your problem is exactly with that.
They had pieces that they put time into. Obviously, they planned them out. Especially the effects stuff was done well, but they didn't bother linking it all together by telling a cohesive story where one thing led into another. It was just a bunch of stuff.
I mean,
and there was no narrative link except for the kids getting in trouble.
Though that's not really true.
But it really is though, Lofty.
Quidditch or Quaritch or whatever was looking for them. You could say his motivation sucked, but like he was looking for them the whole movie, and they got this ping from a helicopter that came in as like a rescue unit for his daughter. Everything links together, and the wailing links together. It all links together. I just think it's
the wailing doesn't link together at all. The wailing is one of the biggest ways in which it doesn't link in the first place. So when they go and they first meet the sea tribe of people, and the sea people almost turn them away, and they say, the war with the humans, the sky people, that's your war. We want nothing to do with it. Later in the film, when the whales become... By the way, the whales only become a thing after Quaritch has somehow landed himself on a whaling ship before he even knows that the whales are a plot point, which is reverse order logic there, so that doesn't really hinge together. Anyway, then he decides, well, hang on, if we kill the whales, it will bring the sea people out because the sea people will get really angry, right? Yes. Okay. Then you go back and you think, well, hang on, because the backstory for the outcast whale is that the humans hunted and killed the whales. So do they not already know about this? Because otherwise they'd have been at war already. They'd have been at war in the first film, but they weren't because nobody had thought of it yet. And they say, well, yeah, we heard about the whales dying, but that was, a way away. And yeah, there are gods and our family, as the film says explicitly, repeatedly, they are gods and family to the sea people, but it turns out they don't give enough of a shit about the whales to go out and fight for them unless it's happening down the road. And I don't really think that hinges together at all.
No, they didn't. No, they thought the whale killed the fellow whales. They didn't know the extent of
they outcast him because the whales are pacifists and fighting it leads to you being excommunicated. They didn't think that the outcast whale killed the other whales. That was never a thing.
Well, they outcast him because of that, though.
No, they outcast him because he fought.
Right, but I'm saying they outcast him. Oh, because are you saying because he fought the humans?
Yeah, the whales are pacifists. There's lines of dialogue to explicitly point out why he is excommunicated. They are pacifists and they're not allowed to fight. And the sea people further say, we had heard that our family were being hunted, but it was so far away. So it's not that they thought that the outcast whale killed them. That's not in the film at all. It's just when it happens over there, it doesn't matter. But when it happens here, then we're really angry.
So you're saying that you would have preferred them to establish like a story, like a subplot of maybe that they tried to go to war with these people before and it failed or something, like some sort of like interesting subplot with the humans versus the coastal people?
Not necessarily, but I do think if you're going to establish a rule, like if the humans attack the whales, it will bring us to war, then you cannot have had the humans attacking the whales before this film takes place when the sea people are not at war, because that just offends logic.
Well, the whaler said he didn't want to do it because it would draw them out. They have this logic.
That's different. That's the whaler scientist who's doing it because reasons that he needs to harvest the brain goo. But I'm talking about the humans hunting the whales for the brain goo to begin with. The rule as established in the film is that if you attack the whales, the sea people will get angry and they will go to war to defend them. And yet they don't do it until this film, even though they actually have a line of dialogue saying, yeah, we knew it was happening and we did nothing. Effectively, what I'm asking for is that the film obeys the rules it's setting up.
Yeah, the movie plays with this sort of geography in a weird way that like it sort of implies that the whalers, people hunting the whales, are very strategic in that they don't do this within like the borders or the region of the villagers. They just don't do it. They do it elsewhere, and therefore it minimizes like the threat level. I mean, it's sort of simple logic, but it's like
But they
I
are
never had a
they're
problem with that.
explicitly told that they are the sea people's family and gods at the same time. So I think this is the example I gave in my video. If somebody murdered your sister in a city on the other side of America, would you be pissed off about that?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay, but they're not.
I wouldn't travel to America and with an army and kill. I mean, it's just like across an ocean.
Your poor sister. So effectively, proximity matters.
I mean, they
in terms
don't, do
of
they? I mean, think about the Middle East.
The moral import of killing your family depends on how close they live to you.
I mean, if you wanted a subplot of like a sort of terrorist attack subplot, like you could have done something like that. But like, yeah, that would have been cool. I'm not saying it would have been bad. It's just, it doesn't. It's a very simple story. It's a very cliche story, and I agree with you. I agree. It's not engaging with every aspect of its own lore. Like, it's just not.
Oh, we agree with that. So that's all.
Yeah, we do agree. We do agree on that. Flaccid.
Paul running in the
Okay,
chat here.
go
Yeah,
ahead.
Flaccid left you on his own. So Flaccid has completely. He's shown his true colors.
No. I know this movie's bad, but I'm saying like I enjoy it. But you know, Lil Platoon's like, hey, listen, we're gonna just talk about objectively about the story. Yeah, and it fails like delivering like a great product for like a mass consuming audience, except when it comes to I guess commercial success, because for some reason people like to consume this like Transformers. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoy parts of it, and there's like the like covert ops we see Stephen Lang's character do, because like in my my brain again, he's the main character. They're always very enjoyable, and it makes me feel like, oh, dude, if James Cameron could just tap into this movie could be so good. But I really don't care about, again, like there's these scenes where we talk about with the Water Tribe that it feels like 2 or 3 movies kind of pushed together into one, and I think you can have movies that are very cliche, like Lofty brought up the example of Mad Max Fury Road. There's like really nothing there, but there's enough going on that entertains you that you're not thinking about the story. Like what is this character thinking here? It's because you're like, oh, is he going to grab that or not? Is he going to survive this? Like you're being pulled along in other ways other than compelling character development, which this gives you plenty of time to breathe with, which it doesn't deliver on. But real quick, I just want to say, everyone right now, please smash that like button. We will not ask you again nicely. You'll be banned from the chat if you don't hit the like button. So go ahead, Lofty.
What Flaccid is sort of describing is like the Super Mario Bros. Movie effect, which is, yeah, when I watched that movie, I was aware of its own sort of juvenile storytelling and like sort of simplistic storytelling, but I liked it enough because of all of the other aspects of the movie that it's a really enjoyable movie, and I would watch it a bunch of times. It feels like it responds to the player of the games. It sort of makes like meta references to like playing the Mario games. It does all these visual things really well. The story is for kids. The stories also has some dumb plot holes. Now Mario, I like Mario a lot. I love the Mario movie. It's entertaining because of other things other than I'm suspending disbelief. I'm not brainwashing myself into thinking this is like a brilliant story. The same thing with Avatar. I'm not. I like Avatar because it does a cliche narrative well enough with some plot holes, mind you, but it does it well enough that I'm willing to look past all of these things and sort of roll with it in order to enjoy like the world building, immersion, the technology, the action scenes. James Cameron flipping a ship upside down is fucking unbelievably insane. The way he filmed that, like, there's so much to talk about the technology of this movie, the way it was filmed, the directing. It's like that's where like 99% of my attention is going, and it's like, yeah, could there have been a subplot of like a rebellion that made the village people a little bit more sympathetic? Like, yeah, there could have been. I don't really care though. Like, same thing with Mario. Could there have been a better explanation why Bowser caught them off the Rainbow Road than just, oh, he happened to like take a shortcut or some bullshit? Yeah, there could have been a better explanation, but I don't really care because it was just entertaining. Like, I feel like this is just a very bit, like, this is something I'm trying to explain that people have a hard time understanding. And for some reason, with movies like Mario and Mad Max, like it's fine, but like with Avatar, because it's a meme and it's because it's Smurfs, and because it's Dances with Wolves in Space, there's just so many like NPC memes happening all over the place that people don't take it seriously, and they don't really like engage with it with the perfection of James Cameron's like filmmaking. They just don't even engage with it.
The ones that you just
we are
described,
engaging
dude.
with it by trying to, you know, unpack the other constituent elements of movie making beyond, well, I kind of enjoyed it because
Did you like Mario or no? Did you like the Mario?
I thought
movie?
Mario was a lot of wasted potential. I think that was the title of my video.
Yeah.
But Mario has nowhere near the number of plot or character holes as Avatar does.
Okay, well, anyone in
But
chat who
it's-
loves that movie, I mean, it's just kind of like what I'm saying. Like, there's people who hate Mario that don't understand why that movie was successful and entertaining, and like to a lot of people. There's people who think the Mario movies, like, you know, it sounds like Platoon lines with the critics on Mario. I would you say you don't align with sort of like the critical perspective of that film?
I don't actually know what the critical perspective is on
Oh, they
Mario.
didn't like it. They didn't like it. They thought it was like, they didn't understand why it was popular. That it was.
Oh, but isn't this
there's
like the
so many
Grace
plot holes.
Randolph thing? Why is he dressed as a cat? Is it Asian furries? I don't align
No, that's
with that.
Grace Randolph. She's a hybrid of retard and retard.
Still would.
Oh yeah, why not?
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like
I need more
the
frizzy
plot,
hair in my
the
life.
plot holes, the stupid like script, like there's nothing.
But the
happening
script is just objectively better, and there are like about a tenth of the number of plot holes in Mario as there are in Avatar. And I think it could have been more ambitious. I think it tried to play it safe, much like Avatar did. I do think Mario did a much better job. But I'm trying to engage with apparently the complete genius of James Cameron's filmmaking by talking about the various aspects of filmmaking, which have to include plot, character, world building, and
that's
theme.
storytelling. That's
And all
storytelling.
I'm getting
That's
is,
storytelling.
but the visual effects were good, which we've established a long time ago.
Look, I actually have a whole breakdown. You talk in your video, right, about necessary versus sufficient conditions to make a good film. You talk about this for a whole
Yes.
chapter, and you break it down. It's very interesting. I actually think it's fascinating. Necessary conditions to be a good movie are things that are, if you don't have them, it's not a good movie.
No, that's not actually. No, that's
Okay,
not what
well,
a necessary condition is.
I'm explaining what I got out of this.
Okay.
Visual effects. Does the movie look good? Does the movie have good audio? Does the movie have, like, these are things that are like sort of necessary to have in a movie that's like bare minimum, versus like sufficient conditions would be like what pushes the movie over from like just like sort of a mid film into like something that's like valuable. And you talk about themes, you talk about narrative.
Just as a point of clarification, because necessary and sufficient conditions are terms of formal logic. A necessary condition is something which, if it is true, is good, but on its own will not make something good. A sufficient condition, which is an argument which on its own is enough for a thing to be good. So in the argument I was making there, the necessary condition of good visuals, it would be nice to have good visuals, but just having good visuals doesn't make it a good film because it's a necessary but not a sufficient condition. By extension, you can not have a necessary condition, and it still isn't going to completely torpedo the film.
Right.
But good visuals are, again, necessary but not condition.
That's fair. That's a better explanation of what I was saying.
It needs boobs. Good point.
Now, the sufficient, I think Avatar meets the standards for a sufficient, for a couple sufficient conditions to make a good film. I think one of them is, I think the bare minimum is the thematic aspects of the movie. I think, yes, Avatar is cliche, but I think it's acceptable. I think you could also say The Matrix is a cliche, philosophical, kind of redundant Plato's allegory of the cave, like it's been done a million times. You could say this.
You can't sensibly say that, no.
That's like the number one criticism of the movie if you've read any like scholarly essays on it. But I'm just saying, like,
I did an MA in
is
philosophy. The Matrix is the only example of trying to faithfully adapt Plato's cave in a sci-fi setting, incorporating martial arts, science fiction, like Greek philosophy. It's not. You can't tenably say that's a derivative film.
I agree. It's more sophisticated than like some people say it is, but it is sort of like this. Plato's allegory of the cave, like, what is reality? What's, when it has all of these sort of derivative like concepts. But the themes, it's the themes are adequate and sufficient enough. I think Avatar, with its universal sort of cultural clash, humanity expansion, like all these different themes that it's dealing with, like expansion, colonialism, all this stuff. I think it's sufficient. I think the word cliche is like, oh, it's a bad thing. Not necessarily. I mean, cliches work very often because they're cliche. It's like they sort of work because people enjoy those kinds of films. Like I said, The Last Samurai is a perfect example of a very cliche derivative of the Dances with Wolves and Pocahontas, and
Yeah, but like something
it's
like the
passable.
original
It's
Matrix
passable.
has cultural staying power, though, dude. Like,
yeah, but the Matrix
everyone
has so much
remembers
more.
Neo and Trinity and Morpheus, and like no
Yes,
one remembers
that's
even
what
the
I'm
4
saying.
main characters from fucking Avatar.
I'm talking.
Like,
Yeah, what I'm saying is, like, here's my breakdown of like sufficient conditions that make a movie like sufficiently good. If a film has a really powerful narrative, I think it can get by without having good visuals and good acting and other stuff. I think you would agree, Platoon.
Yes.
I think if a film has a very powerful genre components, however, like such as suspense, horror, comedy, sci-fi. Maybe sci-fi is a little bit more, maybe not included, but like if a film is like super innovative with its sort of gore, like maybe Terrifier 3 or Terrifier 2, or if a film is really suspenseful but has like a stupid story, like but it's objectively like kind of heart racing, like it makes your heart race, like it's suspenseful. Or if it's really funny but has a terrible fucking story, like Ace Ventura.
Gonna disagree on both of those latter examples because both of those lapse into the subjective, which cannot logically be a sufficient condition for a good movie.
What examples?
The thematic elements and the comedic elements, I think, were the two that you gave.
Okay, so Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls, is that a good story? Like, what are the positives of that movie?
And we're talking about good rather than enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
So that's another important distinction.
Exactly.
So like a very funny film with a garbage story can be an enjoyable film, but not a good film.
Yes.
Which is my point to begin with.
I don't think
pretty visuals in Avatar, to bring it back to the subject, pretty visuals in Avatar, an immense technological achievement behind the scenes, is not a sufficient condition for Avatar to be a good movie. It is simply something which contributes to your subjective enjoyment of that movie. So necessary, but not sufficient.
Right. It has to have more than that. Yeah. I understand. Would you say that I would say that narrative Avatar doesn't meet the standards for like a good narrative. I would say other films like Lord of the Rings, Band of Brothers, Seven Samurai, Les Miserables, these are fantastic narratives. They don't even need good visuals at all, really, or anything else besides the narrative. Like Les Miserables is a perfect example. All you need is like a 7 people on a stage, and you produce this story, and it's fucking brilliant. That is not Avatar. Avatar is not a good narrative. There are now when we talk about sufficient conditions, I think another one is spectacle and entertainment value. Would you agree with that or no?
I would strongly disagree with that, given that, again, spectacle and entertainment value lapse into the subjective, and the subjective cannot be a sufficient condition.
That was, I don't think anybody understood what you just said. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, sure. No, I would strongly disagree, because something which is fundamentally subjective, like spectacle and enjoyment value, cannot be a sufficient condition because it is subjective.
Isn't narrative subjective?
No, because as you yourself actually quite accurately pointed out, a really, really good, strong narrative, it doesn't matter what it looks like. You could put any given, like you could put the Lord of the Rings on stage, you could have the Lord of the Rings, it would be difficult, but you could do the Lord of the Rings in a school production or a production with 7 people, and lo and behold, the story would still be fantastic and people would probably still be quite entertained. Can you do the same thing with Avatar?
No. You said subjective as in visual entertainment, spectacle, visual style is subjective. I'm asking, okay, what I'm saying, isn't all of this subjective? Like, I don't know. Like, there are people who can't stand Les Miserables. They don't even like the story. Or
I don't like Les Miserables, but I hate musicals. But that's my problem and not the problem with the thing.
I know people who hate Band of Brothers. I know people who hate Star Wars. I know Nick Rekieta hates Star Wars. Like, it's
they're
all
wrong.
subjective.
Nobody hates Band of Brothers.
But it's subjective. What I'm trying to say is, if a film, in your subjective opinion, is via spectacle or entertainment value, like like exceeding your expectations to the point where it stimulates you to the point where you're thoroughly entertained throughout the entire movie, is spectacle and entertainment something that you would say is a valuable proponent of something that can be a valid experience of entertainment, just based on the spectacle entertainment value of the movie?
Sorry, I'm slightly struggling to unpick that one. Are you saying is spectacle important?
I can give you examples. I mean, I already did. I mean, Pacific Rim, I think, is an
Yeah.
example of it.
That's fine, but I would all class that as, again, it goes back to the point of subjective enjoyment. If you think, I don't actually find Avatar: The Way of Water particularly spectacular. I think it becomes bland and monotonous, and it's overly blue. But that's a subjective opinion. I understand that lots of people find it quite impressive. Nevertheless, both opinions there are subjective opinions, and they don't make it a bad film, but they don't make it a good film either. What you find spectacular is not a necessary condition for a good film.
I think something being spectacular can produce something being spectacular in and of itself can be a sufficient enough reason for someone to watch the movie 100 times or value the movie over a movie that has like a decent narrative or something.
But we are going over and over and over again the difference between your personal subjective enjoyment of a film and whether the film is objectively good in terms of quality. And you are appealing to the subjective enjoyment of the film, which I'm not denying, because everyone is able to like what they like, and they might even like things that they acknowledge as shit. That's all fine. I'm not interested in that because everybody has those things. I like shit films, but I acknowledge that they are objectively shit, which is the angle I'm much more interested in discussing, and that's basically been the position I've been coming from throughout this one.
Lofty, movie cynic's got to go.
What?
Movie cynic, you got to go. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, I actually need to go work on a video so Lofty has time to edit it.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it was good chatting with everybody. And I'll partially listen while I write because I want to hear what you guys have to say about Barbie. We did it over the summer, so this is we already did this. But I'll talk to you guys later.
Take care.
Good to see you.
Yep.
So we have a poll in the chat though, Lofty. Pretty solid smasher pass on Avatar 2. It's pretty solidly passed.
Yeah, people don't like it. Yeah, I get it. I mean, there's
you're not wrong for liking it at all.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
I don't care. No, if 100,000 people said no in the chat, I would still like the movie. Like I'm that guy that stands up, like has base energy and stands up and says he likes it.
Yes.
No, look, what I'm saying is this is, and I didn't actually say this, but it's true. There are some echo chambers on the internet, and we may be in one.
What?
But yeah, that's true. Now here's another thing. Let me just say this. What do you guys think of Top Gun?
Which one?
The Maverick
one.
It was a great Star Wars movie.
Okay.
I didn't watch it.
Entertaining, amazing. Yes.
Yeah, but similar to what like Little Platoon said earlier, there's things in there that are set up and paid off that I think are way better in the movie, especially when they, there's a whole, I don't know what it is like in your brain when you watch them practice a mission over and over and over again, and then you see it actually go through, maybe not as they intended, is satisfying to watch. Unlike the clip Zach showed earlier where the girl slip and slides down into the ship, or some of the moments in Avatar too.
You can cherry pick that. That's fine.
I'm just saying, like that's why I like Top Gun.
Right, but I would in response to that, I would cherry pick the setup with the familial bonding with the whales earlier on in the movie or in the middle of the film, with the emotional destruction of the village people's essential, like their arc shifted from, we have this platonic like relationship with the rest of the planet that we're just gonna kind of like exist with these whales and we have our own little society, but once their brutally slaughtered in this way that's like really close to us, and like it's very much a bait. It's like it's trying to get us to come out to like fuck with us, fuck with our heads. It is set up and it is a payoff in the movie. It's very clearly a setup and a payoff. And that's not the only
Which is
example.
Like
What's
what?
that?
What's the payoff?
Well, they go fucking raid the humans and they destroy them.
See, no, I was with you until you picked that example, because
Well,
that
that's the ending.
example,
That's the whole ending.
that example is the worst one to pick, because
No, I'm just
when
giving-
we're going over old ground, we've already established the film very clearly doesn't actually account for this in terms of setup and payoff. The whales, which are massacred on the other side of the planet, despite being equivalently important, do not elicit a war, and yet when they come a little bit closer, all of a sudden it's the worst thing in the world. There are better examples than that in this film. The whale hunt sequence itself is a good example. It's probably the only good example of
Yeah, the
something
whale
which
hunt,
is
the whale
set up, the importance of the whales and the spiritual dimension of the whales and their connection with the Na'vi, and that hunt. That is good setup and payoff. That's the only example. The one you cited is not, and I'm conscious that Vex had a hand raised.
Okay, I just want to, because it seems like we're going in a bit of a circle, right? So, okay, Lofty, the argument that I'm hearing you come from is that you personally get a lot of enjoyment from it. But objectively, you seem to be conceding a lot of points in which you can admit the characters are kind of shit, the world building is kind of shit, the plot is kind of shit. So, for the sake of, chasing our tails for another 2 hours, would you then probably concede that objectively speaking, this is just not a good movie?
No.
Okay,
Absolutely
so not using visuals at all in your argument then.
Yeah,
Can you explain why this is not, like, why it does have strong characters and a strong plot?
I don't think it has a strong characters. I think it has, at best, a mid-level, familial, sort of emotional, plot. And here's another thing. Now you're asking me to say the movie's bad because
I'm not. No. That's not what I'm asking you to say.
I don't agree.
You have conceded many points unknowingly in the arguments that you've tried to make.
Yeah,
but we seem to always be circling back to like non-points. Like we seem to coming back to.
But
it was visually stunning
because it's
these
interesting.
fucking whales, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't make it a good movie.
No, Vex. It's an interesting concept. A lot of this is something that like people have to deal with on their own. Like a lot of people like bad movies, and they're like, well, why do I like this bad movie? Is it bad? Like, is it because I like it? Wait, because it's a bad movie, but I like it. Does that mean the movie's bad? Or is the movie good in my opinion, but but I wouldn't maybe I wouldn't recommend it.
I'm just saying objectively
have their own
is this
personal.
Take subjectivity out of the picture. Like objectively, I know that Rocky 1 is a really good movie, but subjectively, it's not my cup of tea, so I don't choose to watch it. Right? So I'm just trying to objectively speaking, is this a good or bad?
Very black and white. It's very black and white. I don't think that way. I just don't.
But that's what we're here to discuss.
It's not black and white because she's just introduced the variable, which is that there is a difference between good movie in terms of quality and enjoyable movie in terms of your subjective experience of that movie. You can't really get much more not black and white than that.
But the quality includes.
Lofty, let's not make. There's no race involved in this, all right? Let's just.
No.
Well, in Rocky 1, there is race involved. I'll be honest.
True, that's right.
It is black versus white at the end.
There's a lot of There's a lot of quality involved in the production design of this movie. There's like so much quality, and the world building, and the storytelling and the immersion. There's so much quality involved that it's sort of like you're ignoring it on purpose just because you want to say the story's bad.
No, because your definition of world building is aesthetics, which is the same thing as saying, but there's great production quality.
Well, aesthetics are very important.
They absolutely are very important. I completely agree with that. I think, I don't particularly gel with the whole aesthetic of it, but I can absolutely happily will concede that an immense amount of technological progress was made as a result of the film.
And not just
a huge amount of knowledge went
way.
into the film, but otherwise just go and watch the making of documentary, for God's sake. We're talking about the actual film.
No, not just aesthetics, but entertainment value derived from the aesthetics. I mean, look at Mad Max. We've already talked about this. Mad Max Fury Road has no story. It's just pure adrenaline entertainment. Okay.
It has a story. It's a very simple story.
God.
Yeah,
it's a story.
There's a pretty clear narrative.
That's not
in
why the
Mad
movie's
Max Fury
good.
Road. I would argue
Sure.
that in part that
You're
is why it's
coping.
good.
No, you're
that's not
coping. You're fucking
That's
coping.
not
That's
No,
coping.
because what's
It's a
that James
story.
Franco? What's that James Franco
Oh
movie
my
where he gets his
God,
arm
I just-
caught? It's like 127 hours, right?
That's it. Yeah,
What,
127
yeah, like
hours.
what is that? What is that story?
That's
I mean, it's very
suspense.
compelling and entertaining the whole time, but it's not like where's his character arc here,
Right.
or
That's
where's
all
the character development? It's
Yeah.
it's entertaining.
That's
Yeah,
Right. That's entirely suspense driven. I don't even think that movie's amazing, but it's fine. But it's suspense. It's the same thing with Mad Max Fury Road is purely adrenaline rush, stunt choreography, cars crashing
Whoosh.
into cars. It raised
It's
car
a chase
racing.
film.
You know,
Who's right in the comments. It's a chase film.
I feel like if I was making the same defense for Fury Road, that I
No
am
one's
for
attacking
Avatar,
Fury Road.
that nobody would care. But for some reason, because it's Avatar, people care.
but there's no weird long extended sequence where they go to where the sisters are at, and they're like, we have to learn actually how to walk on these stilts like they did, and then you're like, what the hell is going on here? This story just hit the brakes really badly. And then
there's an important difference between Avatar and whatever the other film was we were talking about, Fury
Max.
Road, which is that one of them has made $2 billion, and apparently it's a cinematic event of a generation.
Right.
It's not that people have a unique hate bone for Avatar. It's that Avatar is uniquely popular, and therefore I would say uniquely worthy of critical attention in the way that Mad Max is not. That being said, if Mad Max displays the exact same character pattern, plot pattern, world building pattern, i.e. it doesn't have any of those things, as Avatar The Way of Water, I will criticize whatever Mad Max in exactly the same way as I'm criticizing this film, because enjoyment does not equal quality. And I can't believe we've been going for over 2 hours and we've still like fucking coming around on this goddamn point.
Well,
so you're saying you don't like it, Little Platoon? You don't like Avatar 2?
What's the point?
When did Andrew sneak in here? Hold on.
Andrew was here, but before we go to Andrew, I want to comment on AJ. Thank you, AJ. $5. How to Train Your Dragon accomplished what Avatar couldn't, and so if you may not know, but AJ's he's on our Circle Jerk show on the weekend, and he's lovingly known as Lofty. He's the Black Lofty.
Yeah, Black Lofty. Belofty.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm
Thank
named
you,
after
AJ.
by the way, there's a new Oompa Loompa in the new Wonka movie. His name is Lofty. Base.
Oh no.
You better get ready.
Welcome, Andrew.
You guys better get ready.
Do we want to move over to Barbie? Do you guys? How do you feel about that? Do you have time? We've been going for 2 hours. Do you want to do that?
I'm enjoying Avatar so far. At all,
I am too, but I just promised. I did some Barbie teasing for people to come here, and I don't want to. I don't know if we should let them
I'd be
down.
happy to do Barbie. I've probably got maybe like 45 minutes, but it's coming up to 6 a.m. over here, so I'll have to go after that.
Oh my
but
God.
I'm around for a little bit longer.
I think it's interesting that I think Avatar made so much fucking money, and it's such a big conversation. Like people were asking why it made so much money, blah blah blah. It's important to talk about. Like I don't think it's fair to just say the movie sucked and normies like to watch bad movies, therefore it made a lot of money. Why is Captain Marvel not make a lot of money if that's the case?
So here's the thing. Like I set the stream up without having seen the movie, so I didn't know I was not going to like it. In fact, from you and Floss, I thought there's a chance I might like it. Now, to be honest, I was somewhat biased because I had watched Platoon's video before, and that sort of keyed me into some things that maybe I wouldn't have noticed otherwise, but I did notice them. And so I didn't intend for that to be a shit on Avatar party, but I did. I finished watching, and I don't understand why do people? I'm asking why. Why do people love this so much?
I've been saying
I know why. It came out right around the holidays, so families could all see it. It looked far better than most of the other shit we saw, and it had James Cameron's name attached to it. That's why it did so well at the box office. And they kept it out on screens for, I think, 2.5 months to make sure it crossed the 1 billion mark, because it was actually a pretty slow crawl to 1 billion when it first came out. There you go.
I want
to say one more thing before we lose people, but Dex has a GoFundMe, and her link is pinned. So please check that out, you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Zax.
So was it like one of the reasons for Avatar's astounding success is that, again, I'll go back to that craft technique distinction from way back at the beginning of the show. Avatar's craft is quite clever. It's creditably clever. I don't actually like what it's doing because I think it's exploitative in the worst conceivable way, and it doesn't actually have a point or a purpose for that craft. Nevertheless, the craft is undeniably there. Avatar is giving the lowest common denominator everything they want of a brainless feelies type piece of entertainment. Avatar has the most attractive conceivable aliens. It's a plot you've all seen before and you're fairly comfortable with. It's an unobtrusive soundtrack and it's a pretty world. It's safe entertainment. It is the safest of all the films. And so of course everyone goes to see it.
Hold on. Where does it break then the norms? Where does it not play it safe, Lofty?
Why do you think all these other big budget normie CGI bullshit safe movies, lowest common denominator movies, why are they not making $2.4 billion at the box office?
Because they're not doing it as well as Avatar did. But that's a point in favor of Avatar's craft.
Wait, I asked you why. You said you just like responded with like my question.
Well, if you take let's take the Marvels as an example. What about the Marvels is a familiar story, B, using like well-established good character design, which is explicitly designed to get people's sympathy. C, which has the same level of visual effects as Avatar does. All of these are craft things, which I've never denied. The Marvels is offensive on a much deeper level than Avatar is because Avatar goes out of its way to try not to offend people. Avatar is designed to be the safest of all the films. And that's what it does. That's the reason it's so successful. The Marvels also suffers from, the superhero fatigue point, which I think is a correct one. And in fact, the difference in performance between the two things is one of those arguments against those. And I agree with Mauler on large parts of this, but it's not just a bad writing point because the writing in Avatar is almost just as bad as the writing in the Marvels is. And yet one of them is way more successful than the others, which suggests that the audience is not purely evaluating these things on writing quality.
Do you want to compare instead to Jurassic World Dominion?
Jurassic World Dominion, we can try. Yeah. What did you have in mind?
Oh, it made $1.4 million. I'm sorry, $1.4 billion less than Avatar 2. Why is that? It's a very it's probably more popular, honestly, than Avatar, the Jurassic Park franchise. It has iconic stars. I mean, like, Jake Sully is fucking Sam Worthington. Why do you think people are going to see Avatar 2.5 times more, or 1.5 times more than they are Jurassic World Dominion? I'm just curious.
Okay, can I cut in?
Yeah.
Okay. Timing is one of them. Avatar, timing. So Jurassic World Dominion came out during, I believe that was a June release. And then we're talking holiday release, and holidays are great for the
Fallen
box
Kingdom
office.
made 1.3 billion.
Okay. My second point too is a lot of people did not like the second Jurassic World movie because it got super preachy and the plot was really convoluted. So even though they brought back like all of the OG stars from the original Jurassic Park movie, that still wasn't enough. Like it got them over $1 billion, but it didn't get them over the $2 billion hump because people are already done with it. That original like awe and magic of the Jurassic World Park trilogy wasn't there in the World one. Even people with the first one felt the same way. So you have that working against it too. Again,
you had five bad films leading up to Jurassic World Dominion. The Lost World Jurassic Park was not very good, and Jurassic Park 3 was shit, and Jurassic World was awful, and Fallen Kingdom was even worse, and Dominion somehow managed to be even worse than that. So you're talking about a franchise which died in the late 90s, which is being strung along on life support, versus something with James Cameron's name attached, the first major blockbuster he's done.
Avatar was strung along on life support.
It wasn't.
What? Jurassic Park. Avatar wasn't. What?
Everybody and their mother was saying Avatar is old. There's no way it's going to make a lot of money. Nobody cares about it anymore. It's life support. Everybody was saying this. You can't deny it.
I've never heard a single person say that until you.
Are you kidding me?
I have not heard anyone say that.
Well, we can do a quick straw poll. It's not very scientific. Has anybody else here or in the chat ever heard anyone say that Avatar is old and whacked and tired out?
You're gaslighting.
I think. Hold on. I think I agree with. Hold on.
How is that gaslighting?
Are you kidding me?
How is that gaslighting?
Everybody shut up. Every single person was saying that Avatar 2 is ancient. Nobody cares about it.
Name one.
It's not, Oh my fucking god! You gotta be kidding me! This is like saying the Earth is a pyramid instead of a sphere. Are you fucking joking?
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Crazy. Oh, this is dumb.
And no one else on the panel has any idea who you're talking about either.
No,
Like, who are you mentioning here?
I'm done. This
I
next
named
topic.
the boomer that was at a bar like
Next
5
topic.
years ago.
Hi. What's up, Copa?
I made the poll.
Why are you permanently smiling?
It's me, Lofty. It's Don. Listen.
Oh,
No. Listen.
Immediately prior to that very strange interlude, which no one else here recognizes,
not strange,
Jurassic
it's
Park and Jurassic
actually
World was a
insane.
tired and whacked out franchise, which was on its 6th film with a run of 5 unpopular films before it. It doesn't, and Avatar came along and had the impression of being something which is still pretty new. Certainly in 2009 when the first one came out, you then have an entire decade of no more Avatar. And so people, to the extent they remembered anything about it, didn't remember very much. Avatar 2 comes out, and lo and behold, it's the same thing again. James Cameron's name is attached to a big budget thing that we probably haven't seen too much of before. So this is kind of interesting, and it's also incredibly safe. And the character design is brilliant, and it's designed to manipulate your base sensibilities. And that gets people on seats. It's undeniably successful, and I've never denied its success, or indeed the causes of that success. I just think that they are quite base and quite lamentable, given that cinema is supposed to be an art form and not the feelies. That's been the argument pretty much underpinning the entire conversation.
Cinema, you're not gonna take. I would agree. I would say the art form of cinema is very important, but I think a lot of people would say that spectacle and popcorn entertainment is more their preference these days.
The first Jurassic Park was spectacle and popcorn entertainment. The first Jaws film was spectacle and popcorn entertainment. The first Star Wars was spectacle and popcorn entertainment. And all 3 of those are very, very well written, and they've entered a place in culture because they tell stories that people want to see with characters that people remember. Like the argument, it's just a blockbuster, so who gives a damn, doesn't explain the difference between Jurassic Park and Jurassic World Dominion even. So it can't be used as an argument in defense of Avatar to say it's just a blockbuster, you shouldn't expect too much of it. Blockbusters are successful in large part in history because they actually are good films, as opposed to just no one else has anything else to do with their time.
Yeah, but when you say that like cinema is supposed to be an art form, and then you come out like when Top Gun makes like $1.5 billion, what we're saying is in reality, people want to see fighter jets fight each other with like really cool practical effects. Yeah.
Is that really all that anyone took from that film?
Absolutely. What's good about that story? Give me one scene that you remember that's like really cool about the story.
I've never seen the film because I don't care about
the beach scene. Hell yeah, brother!
The beach
bunch
scene.
of boys growing up.
Let's go. It's literally
that's one.
It's the purpose of that movie is.
No, Lofty. The Val Kilmer moment is so touching and so impactful for if you know anything what's going on with Val Kilmer.
Dude, that's memberberries, and that's literal manipulation.
Bro,
hold on. You asked me a question and I answered you. So yeah. What things that we remember that we like about it, and you're just gonna remember berries. That's so.
I asked you.
What
I asked you? Well, no. I asked you what about the story is like brilliant in that movie, and you came up with an example of number 1, memberberries, and number 2, somebody who's dying and has like throat cancer.
Okay. Let me.
Continuing a character's story is not by definition memberberries. That's the thing.
So I have not seen the first Top Gun movie. I don't care to see it. I don't really care about action movies. I've only seen Top Gun Maverick because my friend was like, "Hey, you might like this." So I put it on and I watched it. And the Val Kilmer moment is like really good. From like just objectively, it's really good character moment for both Tom Cruise's character, I forgot the name of him, and Val Kilmer, and letting go of
Maverick,
trauma and grief.
Maverick.
Yeah, Maverick, obviously. So to reduce that to memberberries is just insane to me.
But it is though.
Hold on, Lofty. I present to you "Called to Duty," the female-only fighter jet movie from 2023. So they're like people don't just tune in to watch fighter jets or else they would have watched "Called to Duty."
No, it's got to be good. It's got to be good. It's got to be quality.
Oh my god, what does good mean?
Yeah, oh god, we're not doing that again.
James Cameron is good. Guillermo del Toro is good.
James Cameron is not. James Cameron hasn't been good since the 80s. Guillermo del Toro has
Call of Duty, or else it would be good.
Okay, fine.
So-
Yeah,
Lofty,
but
you just undid your argument, though. You said that fighter jets were all the only reason
Wait a
that
minute.
people went to go see Top Gun Maverick, but
No,
now
I'm
you're
saying
saying
that's
that
why
Top
people
Gun
enjoy
Maverick had a
the movie.
story.
Also, Top
This-
Gun Maverick has some really good
No, it's not
character
a
work in
story.
it,
When
and
you
that's why I
have-
watched
when
it.
you have a 10-second interaction with characters that met in a previous film, it's the equivalent of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield having a funny
No, it's
conversation in
not.
No Way Home.
is
No,
that how
it's
you pass No Way Home? It's
That's
just a funny
crazy.
conversation.
Yeah, because this like we're talking about a movie that like the 99% of the value of that movie is the action. The 1% you're cherry picking is an interaction between Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer that is only I'm
But
sorry,
the-
Andrew, but like you can't possibly care as much about that scene
Whoa.
as people who've watched the original film. You just can't.
I can't, even though that
No!
that moment was built up
You're not allowed
throughout the
to.
entire movie. I'm not allowed to.
Delete your channel if you feel that way, Andrew.
Andrew, you can enjoy it. No, you can enjoy it, but you don't have the
This is
context of
insane.
it. Andrew,
What-
you
What
don't.
do you mean?
Andrew,
Well-
you don't have the context.
Is that maybe because character is important, and so you need the context of the character to fully appreciate the dramatic point
Yes.
of the scene? Is that what
Yes.
you're saying?
Over the course of 2 films, yes.
You're probably right.
I
in that
agree, but then
with
it's not just a
your-
shallow memberberries deployment of characters, is it? Because it's paying off a character beat, and it's also a point of quality that you are actually not applying when it comes to the analysis of Avatar when character doesn't matter. So either character is important, and you
Jake
can't
Sully is
fully
a good
appreciate a
character
story
in that.
unless you've been fully enmeshed in that character's journey, or not. But you can't say, well, with Avatar it doesn't matter because I only watch it for the visuals, and with Top Gun you can't appreciate it unless you understand the character, because you're trying to have two things which contradict each other at the same time.
No.
And the
I like Maverick because of the visuals. I don't care about the characters.
And I would
I don't
also
think
say
they're-
that I'm able to understand the fundamental relationship between those two characters because it's been built up throughout this sequel, Maverick, rather
Yeah.
than just being member berries from the first one.
Yeah, but-
There's a bunch of stuff in the movie leading up to that moment, like Maverick being really like 50-50 on training Goose when like Rooster died in the last one. And there's a lot of tension there, and that moment, that singular moment, like releases all of it, and it's like that's the payoff of like the whole character development for Maverick.
Yeah. There's some payoffs.
Is there
There's some
something that
payoffs.
I'm missing?
But that's not
Do I-
why that's not why people like the movie. Like this, guys, the story to that movie, the payoffs that you're describing are 1% of the movie.
You just told Andrew that he couldn't properly appreciate the film unless he'd seen the previous one because he didn't understand the characters, and now you're
because he
saying
knows.
that's not actually the
He
reason that
already
people enjoy the
knows
film to
about
begin
them.
with.
It's like it's common
No, I didn't
knowledge.
know.
It's like
I didn't-
it's like,
no, I didn't know
yeah,
anything.
You did.
No, I
You
didn't.
didn't.
I don't know who Rooster
I've never
is.
seen the first Top Gun film, and I've never seen the second one. I don't know anything about
Tom
either
Cruise
of this.
and Val
Just
Kilmer are.
not the
don't know
characters in the
anything about-
film. We're
Guys,
not talking about the
I'm trying to make-
actors.
The point I'm trying to make is that's 1% of the movie. It's 1%.
How on
1%?
earth are
That's
you
the entire
quantifying that?
character. That's the entire character arc for Maverick.
It's. Are you talking about the interactions?
30%. Not the interaction. The whole arc for him is like 30% of the movie, and then the other 30% is Goose.
The Goose Sun storyline is fine. It's not amazing. It's fine. I
Yeah,
don't
but
know
it's
what- I don't know
actually
what's amazing
delivered
about
like really like I think there's another step
What do
you can take.
yeah,
Is
what do you mean by
it that
fine?
It's like
Yeah, it
your father died.
delivers
your
everything
father-
it's trying to do?
Your father died. Therefore, I'm training you. I don't think you should be doing this because
Oh
I
my-
have some
you can't
responsibility.
be doing this right now, Lofty.
No, I'm explaining. I'm
You're
addressing
literally explaining cliches that we just talked about previously.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. That's not a bad thing. No one said cliches are inherently bad. So
No, I'm saying Avatar. I'm saying Top Gun has many cliches
right.
that are not isolated. They're not like that great, brilliant storytelling. They're just like, oh, your father died, therefore I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to like train you, your son. And we've seen this a million times. Look,
No,
the
because he's
reason why
reluctant
Top
to
Gun
training
Maverick
Goose.
is so good is because of the fighter pilot choreography.
But no one's saying it's like breaking the mold. This is like some chord progression we see in like musical all the time. You go like,
either, but I think
you're like, oh, do you know all these hits are the same chord progression? Like, oh wow, that's really impressive. All these are unoriginal. It's like, well, there is a part of it where the lyrics and other parts of the song makes it catchy and makes it like, you know, impactful for you. Other like than another song that has the same chord progression. Like this, I don't understand why. Like, what's the point you're making? We're just saying, like, yeah, this is impactful because they're able to deliver it properly, and there's other aspects around it other than the cliches that it's relying on.
Avatar does the same thing.
Look at that, Lofty.
But it does it poorly.
Would
No, it
all of
doesn't.
them smash?
It does not do it poorly. It does it sort of averagely.
Maybe not the back one. They're too tall.
Just like
Too
Top Gun.
intimidating.
Just like Top Gun.
Oh, give me those
The
Amazons,
Top Gun
baby.
story is
Here's some line.
very mid. It's not very deep.
So
It's
does
not
a
very
story
interesting.
does a story need to be complex to be good?
No.
No, he's
So
been
when you-
defending Avatar all the way through on the basis that it doesn't have a story and it doesn't matter. So it can't be that.
No, it has a mid story. It doesn't have a bad story. Avatar clearly has a story. Jake Sully's, he cares about his family. He betrayed his species. He married, you know, his lover, and then they had kids. There's a clear through line story that you guys are pretending doesn't even exist.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying it's threadbare and bad, and it contradicts itself all the way through. But from your position to be correct, which is that 99% of people only go and see the film because of good choreography and visual effects, then I think you do have to come up with some reason why any other given fighter jet thing which isn't Top Gun without those characters, which has equivalently good mechanics, choreography, effects, and
Tom
fighter
Cruise.
jets does not do. Is that it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So my mum, for example, who really, really loves the first film, and she really, really loves the characters, and she went to see, even though she never goes to the cinema, she went to see Top Gun Maverick because she really wanted to see the continuation of that story, and she really loved the characters, and she really felt it was a really good film on that basis. She was only there because it was Tom Cruise.
Well, that's what I meant. I mean, he was in the original. That's what I meant.
She only went to see it because it was the same actor.
Because it's a memberberry formulaic generic story that they're familiar with from their childhood. It's same thing with Ghostbusters and all these other fucking movies that come out and they're get rebooted.
It's really funny.
However, if Top Gun Maverick didn't have the phenomenal production design and the phenomenal fighter jet sequences, it would not have made nearly as much money. Not even close.
Well, no,
if it wasn't Top Gun, it wouldn't make.
Why do you think Ghostbusters didn't like destroy the box office? Because it sucked ass.
But
you guys are making the nostalgia memberberry argument. And I don't understand.
I don't have nostalgia for Maverick.
Everybody here is making that argument. I don't know what the register is. Yes,
I haven't seen it, so I can't make the argument.
Continuity of character.
Your mom likes, or whoever likes the original, so she got to see the sequel. What if your mom liked Ghostbusters?
Can I just recapitulate exactly what it is that I said?
Yes,
she really likes the original. She really likes the characters, and she really wanted to see where they ended up. She wanted to follow the character journey. If you're telling me that a character journey, which is reprised however many years later, is just memberberries, then I fully understand why you like Avatar so much.
How much did Ghostbusters 2019 make or whatever?
After 2016, which did such wonders for the franchise, I don't know how much the 2019 version did.
$204 million.
And this is a point in what conceivable universe?
You just outlined it. You said people who like the original movie are going to watch the new one because they like the original one.
Top Gun and Ghostbusters, and no, that's not what I said. I said that she really liked the original one. She liked, and I'm going to stress this point, she liked the characters, and she wanted to see where their journey ended up. That is not comparable to a franchise which has had, I think, 3 films between the original Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2019, which has had more time even than Top Gun to sink out of the collective consciousness because it's been wasted in the cinema for such a long time, and which people might not necessarily care about the characters as much because the original Ghostbusters finished the arc quite neatly. These things aren't comparable.
I don't know how you can say that.
because I actually pay attention to things like character and film.
Hold on. Can I ask a question? Lofty, honestly,
What?
what is a memberberry to you? Like, can you give me, like, whenever someone says, "Oh, this film is just filled with memberberries."
A memberberry is basically my childhood makes me happy. Therefore, I'm going to go see the new thing that makes me happy because it reminds me of my childhood.
So the entire movie is a memberberry.
Yeah, exactly.
So are all sequels memberberries?
Okay. So Avatar is a memberberry. Holy
yeah, there we go.
Yeah, a lot of there are memberberries in no. Avatar is not. It's like 10 years removed from the original. I don't know if I would consider it a memberberry.
Oh my
Hold on, no. But okay, you can consider then Avatar technically a memberberry because it takes a lot of ideas, both in terms of story, theme, and characters, from previous classic films or regarded films. So wouldn't you say then in that regard, technically it's a memberberry?
I think you can keep it even stricter than that, because people who saw the Avatar when it first came out were 10 years old, were 20 years old by the time the second one came out. So by definition, this film is reminding them of their childhood, which according to you is the definition of memberberry.
Look, we're not agreeing on Top Gun. We're just not. I mean, like,
I've not even seen Top Gun. I'm just criticizing your arguments. I still love you though. You're a great guy.
We all love you, Lofty.
We do, yes.
We really do.
The point I'm trying to make is the Top Gun story is nothing special. It's extremely derivative of the original movie. Now,
what about Call to Duty, though, Lofty? You're not answering the question about Call to Duty. It has Arnie's son in it, the one who's jacked with the maid.
You like to talk about, oh, Iceman's old now and he's pathetic, and therefore I cry, and therefore
Avatar 2 is substantially the same story as Avatar 1. So
right,
do you rate
$2.4 billion?
Maybe, well, okay, but because it made money is not a sign of like its quality; it's a sign of its popularity.
Why did people go see it?
Then we're going to be recapitulating points that we've just been talking about for the last 31 minutes, which I can do, but I'm just not so interested.
I don't care about objective reality or whatever. I'm talking about culture. I'm talking about culture. I care about like society and like what we're doing with our like lives.
Well, so do I, but that's why I think that Avatar's success and popularity is deeply depressing, because it suggests that the highest and most popular form of art we now have is a shallow recapitulation of older, better things with a new paint job that people will defend on the grounds that it looked nice. That's depressing. If you care about the future of art and cinema, that should depress you as well.
I don't know. I think looking exceptionally perfectionistly well is a great standard to have. And I think, to be honest, I think we should hold Marvel and DC to that standard of James Cameron. And I think you guys are downplaying it because you guys don't like
to the guy whose script for the Marvels is currently clocking in at near 5 hours long.
Yeah, but like you're refusing to acknowledge you're refusing to even acknowledge the standard that Avatar set. You just don't even. You have not once acknowledged it. Even one time.
Before I can answer that question, I need to know what is that standard?
It's the greatest.
What are you talking about?
It's the most. It's the most. Okay, it's probably the most exceptionally produced film ever made. Period.
So I'm refusing to acknowledge how beautiful it is and how the technological marvels that go into it are important, even though that's the first thing I started off talking about at the beginning of the stream when I was asked what I liked about it, and I said visuals and behind-the-scenes technology. So what standard am I refusing to acknowledge?
But you do it condescendingly. You say like, "Oh, it's pretty." It's like, you know what else is pretty?
At the beginning, they explicitly said the technology behind it will drive movie making forward forever. I mean, that's the first thing I said on the stream.
That's what we should be doing. That's what we should be supporting in the movie theater.
Because as George Lucas himself once said, special effects as a replacement for story does not work. And then, of course, he went and did that. But that's the whole point. Special effects do not compensate for story. And you can go back to Aldous Huxley when he first went to the cinema and said, I do not deny its capacity for spectacle, but I deny its capacity to move me. And he was critical of cinema back in the 1930s. And since then, I think we've actually beaten Aldous Huxley's pessimistic predictions for the cinema. Cinema has produced objectively great works of art, but Avatar is now playing back down to his worst estimations, and it's another way of proving him right. And I don't want to prove Aldous Huxley right, because his vision of the future was bleak. And yet here we are, praising the Feelies for having good production value. because it was sensory brilliance.
We're coming off of the worst year ever for Disney, period.
Yes.
And we're also coming off of a bunch of fucking superhero movies flopping.
Yes.
And then we're also coming off of Avatar 2 and by the way, Oppenheimer and Barbie exploding at the box office. I'm trying to explain to you why, and you're comparing. Essentially what you're doing is giving, it's like you're saying that it's like hypothetically if the Marvels made $7 billion, you're like, this is depressing. Society's going to the shitter. No, that's not what's happening.
If the Marvels that we got made $7 billion, I would be saying exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not what's happening with Avatar. You're underestimating the global enthusiasm for perfectionist world building, and should be
I don't know.
That should be like the number one thing for filmmakers. If you have a story, clearly, if your story sucks, it should be better. I think what happens with Avatar is so universal that it's going to appeal to a lot of people. Therefore, most people are going to be concerned more with the technology, which is why it made so much money.
Most people, no, I'm sorry. No, you were criticizing earlier, saying only 1% of people cared about Top Gun's characters. What percentage of Avatar fans do you think cared about the behind-the-scenes movie-making technology in that film?
I just don't, dude. I don't think behind the scenes. I don't know what. I mean, nobody gives a shit.
All movie technology is behind the scenes by definition.
Nobody gives a shit about Oppenheimer behind the scenes, but that movie made $1 billion.
You're deflecting. Yeah, I'd like you to answer the question.
Movie. Nobody cares about buying a 4K HD DVD and watching behind. No, what's your point?
Well, you were talking earlier about how Avatar is brilliant because of its spectacle and the visual effects and the production value. Production takes place behind the scenes. Where else do you think production comes from?
You can't hold these two things simultaneously. It's contradictory. You can't say that.
I'm contradictory.
No. You can't say that normies and everybody is fucking tired of Disney. They're tired of generic storytelling. They're tired of generic cinematography and fucking CGI and all this shit that's phoned in. You can't say that society is responding by not seeing these films and they're flopping at the box office. And you can't also say that the same thing is true about Avatar, but for some reason it made a lot of money and therefore, we're going in the opposite direction. Society sucks. We're funding these movies now. Suddenly, we're funding these terrible, low budget, low IQ, low effort, normie movies. You can't hold those two things in simultaneous agreement. It completely contradicts itself.
That straw man is so vast that if I set fire to it, Greta Thunberg would be around my house.
What's a straw man about that?
There is I don't even know what precisely I'm responding to, given that you've imported to me views about the MCU I don't hold and read those over onto views of Avatar.
Of our society,
yes,
because Avatar is a generic, dumb movie, and then at the same time, you're saying you're optimistic about the future of our society because of the Marvels is a generic, dumb movie.
I have never said I'm optimistic about the future of our society. What are you talking about? If you can find me that quote, then please do. But
that's fine. Maybe you did. But yes or no, is it a good thing that the Marvels lost a lot of money?
It's a good thing that Marvel's lost a lot. Yes, it is. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so where are we moving as a society because of that?
It doesn't make it a good thing that something which is pretty much not that much better makes more money.
Yeah, but
that's the whole point about the societal critique of the film.
That's the whole point. You have to explain why Avatar is so much different than the Marvels.
Okay,
because you have no, literally, dude, you have to explain why Avatar made $2.4 billion and the Marvel is not even going to hit 200 million.
I've tried that already, but apparently it hasn't sunk in. But Vex had her hand up, so I'll reprise it once Vex has had her say.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go after.
All right, Lofty. So now, just for clarification's sake, because again, even your definition of memberberries is kind of a bit weird. What is so you're one of the big arguments you have in defense of Avatar 2 is that it made a lot of money and there has to be a reason that it did.
Yes.
Because it's, there must be some appeal to it. So I'd like to now ask you then, what is a bad movie that made a lot of money at the box office that wasn't Marvel? Because clearly this is also a response to get away from Marvel?
Wait,
I just want to see what
what's
your
a
scale
bad
is.
movie that made a lot of money?
What's a bad movie that made a lot of money at the box office that isn't a Marvel film?
Jurassic World Dominion.
So what's the difference between that and Avatar 2 then? Why is Avatar 2 so much more superior to Jurassic World without using the visual effects argument?
Number one, because it made 1.5. It made less. It made more than half the amount of Avatar.
Listen,
that's a big difference.
You can't answer a question by repeating. You can't define a thing with its definition. You were asked what makes Avatar better than Jurassic World Dominion. You can't say it made more money, therefore it's better.
You set that question up as though they're on the same level. They're
but
not.
That's the comparison.
No. She was asking you what the difference is, which is not the same thing as putting them on the same level. So by all means, tell us what the difference is.
She asked me my opinion on a bad movie that made a lot of money at the box office. If I go up to the top, I like Avatar, the first one. I like Avengers Endgame. I understand why that made a lot of money because of the star power and the total, commitment to the 10-year plan. Then it's number 3 is Avatar: Way of Water. Number 4 is Titanic. It's a fantastic movie. Number 5 is The Force Awakens. That makes sense because of, Harrison Ford and Star Wars. I don't know what you're asking me exactly. Are you asking me to justify why Jurassic World Dominion made $1 billion? You asked me to pick a bad movie.
I will say you give me a huge and wonderful list, and I couldn't have picked a better list myself to prove my point about being pessimistic about the future of cinema.
Okay, so
every single film on that list is garbage, including Endgame.
So Endgame made a lot of money. What was your question again, Vex?
No, I just wanted to just gauge what your scale was. So Avatar 2 is a good movie, and one of the reasons it has to be good is that it made a lot of money.
No.
But that's something that's a point that you keep circling back to, is it had to have made over $2 billion for a reason, right? It had to have made that much money. So just as a point of comparison,
because the only reason I'm bringing that up is because from my perspective, it sounds like you guys are saying that there's no difference between Avatar and your run of the mill
no,
Marvel
there.
movie.
I would say there is a difference. So the
only reason I brought it up.
The difference is Avatar is not as oversaturated, probably because Marvel, ever since after Endgame, they've released a bunch of stuff within a small amounts of time.
Yep.
Whereas Avatar, it has that nostalgia factor that it came 10 years after the original. So people are like, ooh, that movie from 10 years ago getting a sequel and it looks cool.
Yeah.
We're going to go see it. That's the main thing that differentiates itself from, Marvel and Star Wars content. It doesn't have the the life support argument because nothing's been made. Right. It's not on life support. So and it's also it just hasn't been mass produced. It's still garbage. It's just not mass produced garbage.
I don't know. That is a bad analogy in many ways. Number one, if anything, something ancient, 12 years earlier, or whatever, 14 years earlier, should theoretically be less demand than the next MCU movie.
Well, Avatar, the first one was box office success. How much did the first one make? Over $1 billion, right? And it is weird that it has no cultural effect because nobody really talks about it until the second one was starting to come out. And also you have to factor in the marketing for that. The marketing for Avatar 2 was crazy.
No, you don't have to factor in marketing. Disney does better marketing than anybody.
Who?
Disney. Avatar is Disney, Marvel, they all do good marketing. I don't know why you have to factor that in.
Well, I've seen way more. I know I've seen way more Avatar 2.
No, you haven't. You haven't.
Advertisements than I did. I didn't even finish that statement. You're crazy. I'm just
wrong.
continue the statement.
Wrong. You're telling me you saw more Avatar marketing than you saw any like Quantumania or the Marvels? Are you crazy?
Yeah, I'm saying
wrong
because it's true.
Well, then prove it.
I saw more like YouTube pre-roll ads.
Go ahead. I'll wait for an attorney until
we're waiting for the receipts, Andrew. Prove it to us.
I mean, Lofty, you haven't given us receipts for the whole. Everyone said that Avatar was powered and clapped out yet. So, and I think maybe in order, provide yours. Andrew can provide his. I will say, like, for the point of saturation, though, I think that does actually impact the marketing, because when Marvel releases like 5 films every year, and Marvel says, this is the best thing since the last one,
and then add on
everyone
4
starts
shows
tuning it out.
between
When a film comes out and there hasn't been another Avatar for a decade, and it comes out and there's a huge publicity blitz, all the other studios move their films out of the way to accommodate it. And the campaign is, it's the cinematic event of a generation, which is kind of true because it's been a generation since the last one. I think the marketing does have an impact there because it seems like something new.
I can't even take you seriously, dude.
Okay.
I can't even do it. Because I'm telling you, I'm just telling you.
What?
The vast majority of people were saying Avatar 1 is ancient knowledge. Nobody gives a fuck. It's so old.
I literally know
nobody. It just escaped the notice of everyone else on the panel.
Can't finish my thought.
Well, no, because you're repeating your thought, so you've already finished it, right? Like, we know what you're saying.
I'm telling you, everybody was writing it off.
Good night, Amelia.
All these people were predicting it to flop.
Prove it. Receipts prove it.
Oh my god.
Well, you said that to Andrew, so I think it's fair, right?
You're not
Hold on.
literate.
If I may, to come to Lofty's rescue a little
bit. You're
here.
making shit up and you know it, and then you're like, well, prove it.
I'm telling you my witness account.
You're totally not. I don't even believe
when Andrew said that he'd seen more publicity for Avatar than any other film, you said, prove it.
So coping right now.
It's not just marketing from trailers.
Did you not say that?
From like a bunch of articles.
Do you not remember saying that?
What do you mean coping? I'm just telling you what I saw.
You're lying. You're lying.
What do you mean?
You just
Andrew, why do you want to lie?
You're making it up to
why
win an
do you want to be a
argument
liar,
on a
Andrew?
stream, dude. You're trying to win a stream argument. You're like, there's no.
I'm just fighting.
The virtue of the stream, right? The virtue of the stream is that it will be up online. It's going to be up online for months, and people can go and rewatch it, and they can see. Like, did Lofty say it to Andrew? Prove it when he said the thing about the Avatar marketing? Because I think he did.
Like saying there's a dinosaur species living in the center of the earth. That's exactly what you're saying right now.
What do you? I mean, there are.
That's literally you. I can't even like
so
literally.
So
Sailor Mercury, I did hear that too. I heard the same.
Just say you're
I am
cooking,
not
bro.
going to be. No, here's the problem. You guys, no, I'm going to calm down. I'm not going to be gaslit. You guys can like say whatever you want.
Go and watch the stream.
I'm gonna wait until like Zach's introduces like a new argument. I'm not going to be gaslit. It's fucking stupid. You can say whatever you want.
We love you.
Just to play some game on the stream, but
it's
like
not really. I mean, it's
crazy that you don't understand. It's crazy that you're not acknowledging the fact that everybody was saying that Avatar was so old that it's not going to make any money. Nobody cares about it anymore. It was the number one. It was the wait. It was the guys. It was the number one criticism of the purpose of Avatar 2. It was the number one criticism.
Can you name
if I may just very quickly, because I've been proceeding throughout this conversation on the assumption that you are arguing in good faith, and I still believe that you're arguing in good faith.
So arguing in good faith.
I'm sure you are, and I don't dispute that at all. But all I'm asking is that, given I've extended you that assumption, you might be courteous enough to extend it back. I do not know, sincerely, anyone who ever made that point about Avatar, and nor does it seem that anybody else on the panel knows that either.
That's crazy.
It might be that we are all. I'm sure it could well be crazy, but it's not necessarily dishonest or gaslighting. We are arguing in good faith. I'm telling you, and the same extension I've applied to you.
I know, but look, like hypothetically, Platoon. If I'm correct, and you're hypothetically, right? Hypothetically, if I'm correct and you're wrong, am I not wrong? Am I legitimized in feeling gaslit?
No, you're. Yeah.
If I'm correct, hypothetically,
you're legitimized in feeling that, except that gaslighting does require intent, and the intent is not here. So it might appear that way to you, but that's not what's going on.
I take it back.
Good.
I don't think you're intending to gaslight me. I think I'm literally just experiencing the most cringe gaslighting accidental gaslighting.
I'm not accusing you of the thing that I've just accused you of again. Okay, but there's a simple way of doing this, though, right? Which is, it's an empirically verifiable fact. Yep. We're saying we've not seen this thing. Maybe we're all wrong. Fine. That's perfectly possible. Yeah, but if you're saying that everyone said it, then I'm sure you will be able to provide receipts on Twitter or wherever else, which proves that people have.
If I feel like wasting my time, yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Do it.
Yeah.
When you say everyone, that is a statement, because that could just easily be disproven by saying
I would say the vast majority. Okay, I'll correct. The
only person I ever like faintly remember anyone talking about like Avatar in the like relatively to the success was probably like Nerdrotic on a Wednesday stream.
Yeah.
And he said that he didn't think it was going to make as much as the first one, but even then he didn't say it was going to flop.
Nobody thought it was going to make $2.4 billion. It was unheard of.
What was the competition for it during that time? I have a question. Nothing
at all.
Well, that's why it made $2.4 billion.
It had zero competition, and they kept it in the theaters.
We already knew that. We knew that going into
it hit $2 billion.
Yeah, but we all knew that. Guys, I'm gonna if you want me to waste my entire day tomorrow and not edit movie six.
No.
I'll do it.
I believe. You know what? I believe that you heard people say that, and I think I heard some of the same things. But it's YouTube, so everyone says everything. Yeah. Like,
and I'll just point out that if everyone was saying it, it wouldn't take an entire day to find someone who'd said it. But that's just besides the point, I suppose. But I don't think it's particularly a substantive argument in either direction. We were talking about the marketing. I am going to have to drop in 4 minutes, if that's all right.
Yes. Well, let's just wrap this up, guys.
Okay.
Can I say, because I don't want this isn't like a cheap, like the thing I said to B.A. Turner, which I was trying to placate him. I do always appreciate it when people on streams, you are in the minority, Lofty, and it's good for you to be able to, good of you even to be able to.
I'm not in the minority. I mean, I'm
not on the
stream.
I'm talking about on the stream.
Okay. Sorry.
It's good to be able to, be able to stand up, and even if people are shitting on you from all directions, argue your point and stick by your point. And I like that a lot, and I appreciate the conversation because I don't get to have these very often. So thank you for putting with all of us shitting on Avatar.
I agree. No, that's fine. No, on stream, you're right. I will say, I think a lot of people, I think there may be a little bit of an echo chamber in like sort of certain communities, and maybe this is like one of them. Even Flaccid, who pretended to like it, is turning against me. Like, listen, I'm telling you,
I can't get a word in edgewise, dude. I can't get a word in edgewise.
It's hard because, I'm trying to be as honest as humanly possible. Everything I say, I'm trying to be honest. Like, I'm not trying to play devil's advocate or anything like that. I'm just saying it's difficult to like go up against 5 people that are saying 10 different things at once. And it's just like, I'm trying, try my best.
Lofty, I have nothing but respect for you. Always. Seriously.
We love you, Lofty. We really
do. Yeah, we do.
By the way, none of this is personal. I literally think this is entertaining as fuck. And I think chat loves it.
I do too. They love it.
Now,
but I have to do something, Lofty, before going. I have to do this right now. Quick, please.
Go ahead.
Every night is boys' night.
No, that's gay.
I had to say we talked about Barbie. There, we did it.
True.
But Ken is not gay. Ken is like the super duper ultra like Sigma.
Yeah.
True.
And Barbie is a much better film than Avatar. So
yes, agreed.
No gays allowed in Kendom.
Man.
Hell yeah.
Sorry, Platoon, you're not allowed.
Okay, Platoon, you have to go. Thank you so much for coming on and giving your time. This has been a fantastic conversation. So very much appreciate you coming on here. Anything that you want to
thank you.
Promote?
Thank you so much for having me. Sorry, it's been so long since I've come to tried to come on, but had to do it via the flu. But it was really, really good fun. So next time you want a guest, give me a shout. I'm still plowing away through Marvel shit, which is annoying because Napoleon has come out and I want to do that too. But I think it's going to be Marvel's. The aim is next weekend, and then after that, who the hell knows?
How long is that script?
That script, it's I've done half of the plot. Yeah, I've done half the plot, and I don't know exactly how long it is yet, but it's alarmingly it could actually be closer to 7 hours. I'm gonna have to cut some stuff.
Dude, Mr. Platoon, none of this is personal, and I just want to say, please don't blacklist me.
I am no.
I'm editing.
It's not about race. Again,
That-
Lofty, you
no,
bring up
I'm-
race every time.
No, I'm editing for this guy's channel sometimes, occasionally, and I don't
Yeah.
want to be blacklisted. I'm
You
just
did
saying.
I think it was the last of the Ahsoka videos, which was one of my favorites. It was really good. And yeah, no. If anything, you've gone up in my estimation because I always appreciate people being able to, argue their position, even if everyone thinks they're wrong. I've been in that position and it's good fun, and you're a great guy. So yeah, you're not blacklisted and never will be.
Thank God. Thank God.
You're banned.
Base. I don't know how to say base.
Block the fucker now.
Thank you
dude,
for
are you
sharing
going to
that.
make fun of Napoleon? Because I like that movie a lot. I feel bad.
I don't know. I've not seen it yet, but it sounds interesting, and so I might give it a go.
Yeah, it's more of a relationship drama than it is like an accurate historical movie. But like, it's fun. It's entertaining.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm interested by it. I want to see what it's like.
Platoon, did you ever see Oppenheimer?
No, I've still not seen Oppenheimer. No,
I haven't either.
Platoon, you should wait for the 4-hour version to drop on Apple TV because it's going to add so much context.
That's good. That gives me more time.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Yeah. It's good though.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Platoon.
Thank you.
This has been fantastic. Lofty, besides your work for Mr. Platoon, what are you doing?
Oh boy, I was supposed to stream tonight. I told everybody to watch this.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm basically doing Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. every Wednesday. We talk about movies, anime, gaming, anything nerd culture related. I try to do a little nuanced stuff like that people are not talking about. So I might do a Napoleon stream. It's not super popular. I might talk about The Killers next week a little bit. I'm sorry, The Killer, David Fincher movie on Netflix. I'm doing a Hayao Miyazaki stream. I think I talked to Vex about this. Did I? Yes or no?
You did, yes, but I don't think there's a date yet.
I gotta hit you up in DMs.
Mm-hmm.
Hayao Miyazaki has a movie coming out in December. It's gonna be it's getting really good reviews, guys. So we're gonna do a panel about it. Probably either next week or the week after. But other than that, yeah, every Wednesday, Lofty Pixels on YouTube. That's pretty much all I have. And then Twitter, by the way. If you like Twitter. Lofty Pixels. That's it.
Lofty. Vex, you just dropped a video. It was fantastic.
Yes, I dropped a video on Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, which takes the cake, I think, for the most garbage thing I've watched all year. So you can go check that out if you'd like. Other than
That's saying
that,
something.
other than that, and I don't watch Star Wars. So, I mean, if I watch Star Wars, I'm sure that scale would be a bit different. But other than that, I'm on a million different streams. Everyone knows me for that. I'll be on B-roll on Friday. Adam just sent me the movie that we're watching. I don't know what the movie is. And then next week there's a whole bunch of stuff. So Sunday's the reset. So just for the rest of this week, I've got B-roll. Yes. Didn't watch Velma. Boosh. Didn't watch Velma. I think I watched 3 episodes of Velma.
Oh, good.
That was it.
Same.
Dodge that bullet. Blasted, you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here when I'm not backstabbing Lofty. I'm backstage here. Usually here on Wednesdays.
Bastard.
Listen, you went
Bitch.
down just a totally different direction, and you're just
homo.
spiraling, and I was just like,
Fucking
damn,
homo,
this
gay,
is hard to watch.
bundle of sticks.
True.
Go ahead.
Listen, everyone right now should smash the like button if they haven't already here on Zax's channel. But I do have a
do it.
Yeah, or you'll be banned. IJP can drop a link to my new channel if you like Game of Thrones, House of Dragon. That's what my channel is. We cover stuff over there on Our Hilts Hurt. My Flaccid channel is basically dead because we've dipped our toe too deep into the Ganges River, get those Indian subs, and they've come to bite us in the back. Who'd have thought? But yeah, basically everything I release over there is like dead on arrival. So yeah, go check that out. And what are we doing this Saturday, Zach?
Well, I think it's my turn, isn't it?
Yeah, it's your turn. Yeah, listen, if you want cringe pumped into your veins, come by for Circle of Jerks. Last week we talked about Chris Chan. The week before we've given people Hunter J lore. People know that Zach's made a great reference to it, and people in the chat.
It was great.
Anyways,
they did catch it. Yep.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Is Hunter J back, by the way, to YouTube yet?
No. I know.
You should play that clip before we leave, though. After this.
Which one?
But the mother story.
Or can
Oh,
you
mother-
play?
oh,
Or can
come
you
on.
play "Trans People Are My Friends" again?
Yeah, I like that.
We'll play that out for sure.
Yeah.
But so Andrew, what's going on?
Not much. Streams every Sunday, 8 p.m. with me and Bagface for Slight Tomfoolery. This week we're probably talking about Invincible because episode 4 is coming out, and we're excited. At least I am.
My nigga, you turned me on to it. I'm really excited.
I did. And then I started doing some just random solo streams. I did one Wednesday when the new news came out that Dave Filoni is now the CFO of Lucasfilm, and now everything is just totally over. And season 2 of Andor is definitely going to be terrible now.
God, that fucking decision. $100 million. The finale of that show got 800,000 views across its first week. I've had YouTube videos get not far short of that, and I have not given myself a promotion. And I think I really should.
You should.
So I'm now going to be like chief creative officer of YouTube because, why not? That's how
cardboard
this works.
cutout in the office.
Hell yeah.
Other than that, I might do a video around around Christmas about superhero movies and why we don't care anymore. But also everyone's done videos like that. And also I don't want to watch any of the new ones. So I don't know. I might do one of those. But mostly I'm just catching up on schoolwork because I focus so much time on Ahsoka that I'm really behind. So I'm catching up on that stuff. So it's just streams for now.
You're going to lose your elitist tag if you drop too far behind on the schoolwork.
I am. I'm currently failing a class, so I'm catching up
shit.
on documentary stuff. So yeah.
What?
Yeah. I just haven't turned stuff in, but I'll just do it. It's fine.
Flossett's always doing homework. Right,
Bad
Don?
boy.
Yeah,
Oh,
Flash
yeah,
do
I know.
my homework.
What's she gonna do when they come?
Can you
for
shoot a full documentary for me, please? Thank you.
Yeah, we'll switch. You can do like material science and like micro, like quantum physics stuff, and then I'll do
Sounds
your
like
stuff.
Oppenheimer.
It's almost it's like introduction to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to play us a clip here from this is some classic.
You're gonna
classic
play us
Cringe
out. You're gonna
for
play
Saturday
us
night.
out.
Then I'm going to play us out with
I'm gonna-
trans people are my friends. Don't worry, you'll get the trans people. But this is a classic one I've dug up. You guys don't like this one.
I drove
you're
all the
gonna be
way home.
hunter-pilled.
I was feeling cute, and I just kind of like filmed myself nodding my head and enjoying some really smooth romantic music by Daryl Notes. I think it was like Sarah Smile or something really adorable and something really smooth. Might have been Kenny Loggins, could be wrong, but I was just enjoying it and bobbing my head like.
There you go.
And I said that to her, and I think that's what led to me getting ghosted because she thought, "Oh, he's trying to be all Mac Daddy about it," and yet he was not able to perform.
Yikes!
That was a clip.
That's
Wasn't it?
That
Wasn't
was
it?
not good.
Yeah,
No.
because didn't Daryl? Hall filed a restraining order against Oates today. So
Really?
yeah.
That's so
that was-
topical then.
right. Exactly. Right on the
That-
nail. You're on the news.
That was he was supposed to be talking about his video game he made, but instead he talked about dating advice and how he had erectile dysfunction issues on dates sometimes.
He made a video game?
Yes.
Do we have it?
There's lore. I don't have it, but I know people who do.
We need it.
Wait,
Um,
can I just ask a question to chat?
yeah.
Before we leave, just quickly. I watched Napoleon. I loved it. I liked it a lot. I think that the 4-hour Apple TV version is going to be better. Yeah, it's like a 7 out of 10. It's fine. It's sort of limited in its like scope and like unfocused a little bit. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is Total War. I want to play a Total War game. Chat, DM me on Twitter, message me on one of my YouTube videos, comment, whatever. I want to know what your favorite Total War game is. I just want to play one of them, and I don't even know where to begin. What's the best Total War game?
Rome 2 or Empire?
Wait.
I like medieval
Rome?
too.
Wait,
Rome 2 is good too. Yeah. Rome 2.
wait, Rome 2 and Empire, you said?
Yes. Empire for
It's-
purely nostalgic reasons, obviously. But Rome 2 is a good game as well.
Oh, God.
Empire
Like
will be the
Warhammer.
more Napoleonic.
I like the Warhammer ones.
Is Napoleon Total War any good or no?
I've not played that one.
Okay. But Empire...
Medieval 2 has some amazing mods though, like completely full workover mods.
Oh shit!
Yeah, there's a Lord of the Rings one that's excellent called The Third Age.
Oh, I played that. That's good. Yeah.
Isn't it? It's fantastic.
I want historical stuff. The only one I ever played was Three Kingdoms, and I fucking love it.
I love those games.
China, ancient
Total
China.
War.
Yeah. Anyway,
Rome 2 was good because I kind of fancy Alexander the Great, so I rebuilt his empire.
I got to
And then
do it.
my traitorous generals just divided my empire, and so I killed them all.
Oh,
and it was
fuck.
really good fun.
Based.
Dude, I'm related to William Wallace. My ancestry goes back. I'm dead serious. My ancestry goes back to William Wallace.
Well, now I have to blacklist you because
yeah, you do.
Like, fuck you, traitor.
Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
The only thing I remember from Medieval 2 is I had a dedicated army to hunt the Pope, which was
yes.
Yes.
Well, it's because that guy would be like, "Oh, stop killing people." You're like, shut the fuck up. I'm just gonna appoint my own Pope after I kill you.
Oh God.
We have to have a Medieval 2 stream now, apparently.
That would be fun.
We do gaming streams. Go on Rumble. Nobody plays games on Rumble. You'll be popular. Yep.
Okay, we've kept OP all night here, so appreciate you guys. I'm gonna play us out with our theme song. You guys enjoy it. I know you love it.
Love you, chat.
It's Cringe. Thank you, chat. You guys have been amazing. Please go click on the link at the top and support Vex. She supports all of us all the time. She gives her time entertaining. We love Vex. Thank you. And sub if you're not. Everyone's links will be in the description. I was a bit neglectful of that before, but I'll get it done tonight. So thank you so much. Here we go.
Respect to the trans community. And fuck you, transphobes.
Trans people are my friends. Transphobes gon' catch these hands. Trans people are my friends. So respect them for we're going in. Trans people are my friends. Transphobes gon' catch these hands. Trans people are my friends. So respect them for we're going in. Transphobes, show your fucking mouth. I'll knock you out. I'll knock you out. Transphobes, show your fucking mouth. I'll knock you out. You better watch out. Trans people are my friends. Transphobes gon' catch these hands. Trans people are my friends. So respect them for we're going in. Trans people are my friends. Transphobes gon' catch these hands. Trans people are my friends. So respect them for we're going in.
Trans people are my friends. Everyone.
Transphobes gon' catch these hands.
Trans people are my friends.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I love that song so much.
Oh,
I love it too.
That's the song I'd expect to hear in South Park. It's like Strong
Trans
Woman.
People are my friends.
Strong Woman.
That's unironically. Zax is muted.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I love it. That's he means it. That makes it so much better than South Park. It's not ironic. This
That
guy.
is pure art.
Where autism met trans community. I don't know.
Where
It's
did
something
Movie Cynic
beautiful
go?
happened.
Where'd he go?
He's got
You gonna-
scripting to do.
Oh, shit.
Also, you're still live, Zax. I don't know if that matters.
Oh shit.
Oh, you are? Yeah.